This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate what if Naruto has a twin sister which no one knows about. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto slept in his apartment bed at the age of 15 after being duped by his academy instructor Mizuki. Learning the Kyuubi and the Cage Bun Shin no Jutsu, Naruto stole the forbidden scroll of seals earlier tonight. The seal containing the Kyuubi started to glow while Naruto slept, and a puff of smoke first appeared in the room. Before vanishing in a cloud of smoke, a figure gazed down at Naruto. The following morning, while Naruto was strolling down the street, a 15-year-old girl with green eyes and red hair emerged from an alley ahead of him. She seemed to be looking around when she bumped into Naruto and fell backward onto the ground. "Oh sorry, miss, I wasn't paying attention, are you alright?" said Naruto, blinking, clearly not paying attention. "Yeah, but could you give me a hand?" The girl looked up and held up her hand, saying, "My dress will shift wrong if I try to get up on my own and show the perverts around here things I don't want them to see." "No problem, miss," Naruto said, taking her hand, and he helped her stand up. "Kushina," the girl said, "my name is Kushina and you are?" Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly and grinned, saying, "Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage, believe it." "Thank you, Naruto-kun, and it wasn't your fault. I wasn't paying attention where I was going. In fact, I'm kind of lost." Kushina had a sheepish smile on her face and smiled. "You're lost," said Naruto. Kushina replied, "I just arrived in Konoha earlier today and I'm trying to find my way around. You wouldn't mind helping me out and show me around? I could use an escort, Mr. Future Hokage." Sure," Naruto replied, "anywhere you want to go first." Kushina replied, I hate to say this, but I spent the last of my money to just get here. I need to find a place to stay and a job to make some money, and then I think you should come with me to see Gigi. He could probably help you. Come on, follow me." Naruto scrunched up his nose and said, "Hey wait." Kushina then started to run. When Naruto turned around, he saw Kushina a block away, but she was moving more slowly. Naruto blinked, and when Kushina caught up, she exclaimed, "Wow, you're fast." Naruto replied, "Sorry, I'm used to running everywhere. I guess that you're not used to being around ninja." Kushina replied, "Not exactly. My family had wanted me to be a ninja and train me some, but I never liked the idea of having to one day kill someone, so after they died I quit training." With a nod, Naruto declared, "I'm sorry to hear about your family." "It's okay, they died years ago," Kushina said. "So you're trained to be a ninja. What village are you from?" Naruto asked, nodding. According to Kushina, "My family was originally from the island of Whirlpool, but after it was destroyed in the Second Shinobi War, my parents fled and went into hiding." Crunching his nose, Naruto uttered, "I've never heard of Whirlpool." Kushina replied, "Like I said, it was destroyed in the Second Shinobi War." "Well anyways, why don't you come with me to see Gigi and I'll make sure not to run off and leave you?" Naruto asked after noticing Kushina's dejected expression. Hooking his arm with hers, Kushina grinned and remarked, "Who knew you were such an honorable young man? Your parents must be proud of you." After scowling, Naruto remarked, "I'm an orphan. I don't know anything about my parents." "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to," Kushina said, her smile disappearing. As they strolled down the street, Naruto remarked, "It's okay, like you. I got over it years ago. So, where did you come from?" Kushina stated, "My parents moved around a lot. We didn't stay in one place too much, but I've been around to a lot of different places." Naruto replied, "Really, that's cool. I've never been anywhere but here in Konoha." Kushina stated, "The world is a huge place that can be pretty amazing and scary. Bad things happen to good people for no reason." Kushina remarked, "Wow, is this the Hokage Tower? I thought we were going to see your Gigi," as Naruto nodded. According to Naruto, Gigi is Old Man Hokage. He's really strong and kind, but he's really old also. As they ascended the stairs, Kushina laughed and looked around while maintaining her arm linked to Naruto. When the Sandame's secretary noticed Naruto and Kushina a short while later, Naruto asked, "Can I see Gigi?" When the secretary saw Kushina's arm linked around Naruto's, she smiled and said, "Yes, Naruto-kun, but who is this young lady? Is she your girlfriend?" Kushina replied, "Naruto-kun's been kind enough to escort me here, but I bet Naruto-kun has to beat girls off with a stick with as handsome as he is." As the secretary grinned and laughed, Naruto turned red and Kushina laughed. In an attempt to conceal his blush, Naruto hurriedly knocked on the Sandame's door, and the Sandame's voice said, "Enter." Opening the door, "Open for me. Such a ladies' man you are. Naruto-kun, your girlfriend must love bragging about you with her friends," Kushina said as she entered after Naruto had opened the door. When the Sandame heard the knock, He looked up from his paperwork and blinked when he heard a female voice. However, when he saw the girl who had entered just before Naruto, his eyes widened and his breath caught, and he said, "Hey Gigi, I want to introduce you to Kushina." After swallowing, the Sandame said, "Hello Kushina-san, how may I help you?" and concluded, "It's just a coincidence she looks like her, it's just a coincidence she has the same name. Calm down." Kushina replied, "Well, Naruto-kun here thought that you might be able to help me. I've just arrived in Konoha today and I was looking for a job and a place to stay, but I spent the last of my money on the supplies I used to get here." Hiruzen responded, "I see. Well, first I would like to welcome you to Konoha. Kushina-san, do you have a family name?" Kushina replied, "I do, but my parents were originally survivors of the destruction of Whirlpool. And are you alright Hokage-sama, you look pale." "Must be something I ate." "You said your parents were from Whirlpool," Hiruzen said, coughing. Kushina replied, "Yes Hokage-sama, my parents stopped using our family name in fear of those who destroyed their home coming after them. They also told me it wouldn't matter because once I got married I would take my husband's name." Hiruzen nodded and pondered. Could she be an Uzumaki? Kushina is a common name of the Uzumaki clan and she does have the genetic traits of them. He responded, "Are you a ninja Kushina?" Kushina stated, "I have some training that my parents made me learn, but I never really liked the idea of maybe having to kill someone, so I only use what they taught me to help protect myself or support myself. I'm a quick learner and have skills as a cook, a seamstress, a maid, a carpenter, a teacher, a babysitter, a receptionist, and a few other things. I've been willing to learn any skills that were required of me in order to help me support myself." Hiruzen replied, "I see. Well, I can't think of anything right now that I have opened since most job requests I get are for ninja, but..." Naruto replied, "Hey Gigi, what about helping Iruka-sensei?" Kushina said she's got skills as a teacher and Iruka-sensei needs help after Mizuki, you know. Hiruzen responded, "That would be a good idea Naruto, but for security reasons I can't let someone start to work at the academy without security clearance, and unfortunately for your friend here I don't have any reason to give her clearance." Naruto looked at Kushina with a frown before responding, "It's alright Naruto-kun, I am sure I can find something to do. If I keep looking around I am sure that a village this size has at least some civilian jobs like painting fences or babysitting, grocery shopping, or things like that I will be able to do. I'll just have to find me a place to stay and I'll be okay." Kushina glanced at the Sandame and said, "Thank you for welcoming me to your village Hokage-sama, and in time I hope I will be able to call this place home. If the people are as nice as Naruto-kun here, I greatly appreciate you making an opening in your busy schedule for me," with a bow. Hiruzen noticed that Naruto was upset and thought, "Maybe I might be able to bend the rules slightly just this once for you Naruto." He replied, "Actually Kushina, the jobs you were talking about are usually D-rank missions given to genin to teach them teamwork. I might be willing to give you a hand to get started and give you one D-rank mission a day at reduced pay until you can get something permanent." Their eyes widened, and Kushina said, "Thank you Hokage-sama, I'll gladly accept." Naruto also said the same thing. Naruto replied, "But Gigi, how come she would have to work for a reduced pay?" Hiruzen replied, "Because she's not a ninja of Konoha, so I'm treating her like I would a freelance where she would have to pay a small commission from her pay for Konoha giving her a mission." "It's okay, Naruto-kun, even at a lower pay, I'll probably make more than you would on the same mission simply because I am working alone where you would be with a team whose pay would be split between you and them," Kushina said, laughing as Naruto wrinkled his nose. With a blink, Naruto said, "Really?" With a nod from Kushina, Naruto remarked, "I see. Well, that will help you with getting money for now, but you still need a place to stay." Kushina replied, "Well, once I get my first paycheck I can just rent a hotel room aunt." Naruto quickly shook his head and replied, "No, you can stay at my apartment until you get enough to get you a house. The hotel rates are crazy. I tried checking into one once and you wouldn't believe the price they wanted me to pay for a single night. Getting a house will be better for you in the long run." After scowling, Kushina remarked, "But I don't want to be a burden." Naruto replied, "You're not. You're a friend. What kind of future Hokage would I be if I didn't help a friend in their time of need when I could?" "All right," Kushina said, biting her lip, "but how much do I owe you for staying with you?" "Nothing," said Naruto. "Naruto Uzumaki, I will not be staying at your apartment for free. If you won't accept my money then you will accept my services. I'll cook, clean, and shop for you as long as I stay with you. Do you understand me?" Kushina said, putting her hands on her hips and pursed her lips. Hiruzen, trying not to laugh, said, "Well, it looks like everything is going to be fine for you and your friend Kushina. Naruto, would you like your first mission now, Kushina?" As Naruto gulped when he saw the expression on Kushina's face and nodded quickly. According to Kushina, "Yes Hokage-sama. This is a job pulling weeds. I'm sorry, but it's the only one I have available right now because it's a big yard and most teams I have turned it down," Hiruzen said, nodding and drawing out a scroll. Kushina replied, "That's alright Hokage-sama, I'll just use Kage Bunshin to help me." With wide eyes, Hiruzen said to Naruto, "You can make Kage Bunshin also Kushina." "It was one of the first jutsu my parents taught me," Kushina said, "because they said it was safer to teach me seals with a Kage Bunshin doing it than myself, so that way if they screwed up and died I wouldn't be hurt and could learn from it. Especially with the way the information transfer back to me when they're dispelled. Dad always said they were a Kage's secret to defeating paperwork. Of course I'm sure you already knew that Hokage-sama Hokage-sama." Both she and Naruto heard a thud, then turned to see the Sandame repeatedly slapping his head against the desk and uttering the word, "Stupid." After taking Kushina's hand, Naruto remarked, "I think we should go before he remembers we are here." With a nod, Kushina let Naruto pull her from the office. Naruto asked, "So what other skills do you have besides Kage Bunshin no Jutsu?" after they had left his office. After giving it some thought, Kushina said, "Tell you what, since I'm going to be staying with you, how about we make a little deal?" As Naruto put it, "What kind of deal?" "Let me do all the shopping for us, including food, clothes, and anything else I feel our place needs, as well as handling the bills. I'll teach you my family jutsu, but you have to learn them up to my family's quality. Do you agree?" Kushina said, placing her arms over his shoulders and looking into his eyes. He felt his stomach flutter as he nodded and gulped because Kushina was only a few inches from his face. Kushina said, "Good boy, now I'll see you later after I finish my mission and get paid CYA. She gave him a quick peck on the cheek and then burst out laughing, leaving Naruto stunned, and the secretary also burst out laughing, especially after Naruto's knees gave out and he fell to his knees, reaching his hand up to his cheek while wearing a dazed expression. Naruto's eyes widened when he realized that his apartment had changed in appearance when he returned later that afternoon to prepare for having his ninja profile picture taken and to make an impression. The walls, which were an old beige color, had a beach-like appearance, with blue on the bottom half, cream in the middle, and a tiny brown area with green above that extended to the roof, which was now light blue. As she emerged from the kitchen, using a dish towel to wipe her hands, Kushina asked, "Do you like it?" Talking to her, Naruto remarked, "This looks wow, it reminds me a little of a beach." Kushina nodded and continued, "I thought that since whirlpool and uzumaki mean the same thing, I would try to bring a little bit of what whirlpool looked like. I didn't get a chance to add all the details yet, like shadings and lightings. I figure I can do that over time, that is if you don't mind." Naruto replied, "Mind? I love it. My walls were the same color since I got my apartment when I was 5 and you've already cleaned this place up so much that it's amazing." When Kushina noticed Naruto's dejected expression, she grinned and remarked, "I'm glad you like it. I didn't get to do as much as I wanted to today and I figured you would be out with your girlfriend or friends, so I haven't had a chance to fix dinner yet. Is something wrong?" Looking away from Kushina, Naruto bit his lip and uttered, "I don't have a girlfriend or really any friends either." "It's because of Kyuubi, isn't it?" Kushina scowled. The eyes of Naruto widened and he turned to surprise. Kushina replied, "I'm a sensor, so I can tell the difference in people's chakra, and I can tell you're a Jinchuriki since the only Biju I know of that has attacked Konoha is the Kyuubi. Then I figured that's what it is, especially after I saw the looks people were giving you when we were walking together toward the Hokage tower." As Kushina stepped forward and put her arms around Naruto's head, pulling him forward and kissing him on the lips, she said, "And you know what, I don't care." Naruto scowled. Before slowly closing his eyes and attempting to return the kiss, Naruto's eyes widened in shock for a few moments. As a whoa, who would have thought that Naruto-kun would be bold enough to French me or grab my ass eep? Kushina closed her eyes as Naruto's hands, which were on her ass, slid down to her thighs, pulled her up, and started to carry her toward the table while still giving her a French kiss. When she felt him sit her down on the table, Kushina put her hands in Naruto's hair and started to draw him closer. When Naruto moved his hands up her back, Kushina shivered a little with excitement and chills. Naruto screamed in agony as his foot was crushed beneath the table for a brief moment, causing him to jump around on one leg while holding the other. Then the table broke, causing Kushina to slide away from Naruto. After taking a few moments to process what had just transpired, Kushina couldn't help but start giggling before laughing as she looked at Naruto. Kushina remarked, "Well, I was planning to get new furniture but didn't know what to start with, but I guess I'll start with a new table." Naruto scowled when he heard her laughing and gently sat his injured foot down. Naruto, who had been frowning, paused and then said, "Looks like it." His eyes widened and his face flushed. He must be embarrassed, Kushina thought, and remarked, "You know, you're a pretty good kisser. You sure you don't have a girlfriend?" Kushina said, "Well, that just won't do." Naruto shook his head no, and she stood up, saying, "Help me get this mess cleaned up. After that I'll start cooking in." "Shit, I forgot said Naruto. "Language, young man, you do not cuss in front of a lady. Now what did you forget?" Kushina said, turning and placing her hands on her hips. Naruto, who appeared sheepish, said, I'm supposed to get my picture taken for my ninja registration and I came back to put some paint on to make my picture stand out in. Kushina replied, no, if you do then Hokage-sama will most likely make you retake it if you want people to start seeing you as you and not the Kyuubi. You need to become an example others need to follow. The eyes of Naruto widened and Kushina smiled. Luckily for you. I thought of something like this already in the bathroom. There is a scroll with your name on it. Open the scroll and send chakra to the seal on it and a new outfit I got you is in it. Take a shower and put those cloths on for your picture. I'll clean up this mess and then start working on dinner for us. After that you and I are going to talk about what ninja skills you have so I can help you learn my family jutsu. Why are you helping me? Nobody ever helped me like this, Naruto said, biting his lip. Kushina puckered up and said, my past is something I don't want to talk about. Naruto, a lot. I'm sure there are things you don't like to talk about, right? Kushina said, then you understand what I am saying. Now go, I'll get this mess. It seems that you and I think more alike than I thought. Naruto nodded, and Kushina swiftly started cleaning up the mess after creating 3 cage bunshin. Kushina replied, now go get ready, you don't want to be late for your appointment. Naruto nods and enters the bathroom, where he quickly takes a shower before opening the scroll and revealing a pair of black, creamy white, Anbo-style pants, an orange fishnet and a tight-fitting black t-shirt, a vest in blood red with the blue spiral of the Uzumaki clan on the back. Kushina's eyes widened as Naruto emerged from the restroom, and she remarked, you look very handsome, Naruto. Naruto looked anxious and blushed, saying, thank you And Kushina asked, what's wrong, Naruto? About earlier, Naruto bit his lip. For a brief moment, Kushina appeared perplexed before saying, the kiss. When Naruto nodded, Kushina retorted, what about it? Looking down, Naruto rubbed the back of his head and uttered, I've never kissed anyone before. And Kushina replied, you don't know what came over you and why you used your tongue or why you felt the need to grab my ass and carry me to the table, right? Kushina nods as Naruto responds, it was your instincts. You became aroused because I kissed you because, well, I wanted to. You didn't do anything wrong, but you need to know that not every woman will be like me. Some women take time to get comfortable around someone enough to be willing to go as far as you and I did earlier. Some won't. Each woman is different and you never force a woman to go further than she is willing to be. If she tells you she's not ready or to stop you, stop. Your instincts are your greatest advantage, but it is also your greatest weakness because sometimes your instincts will tell you to run when your mind is telling you to stay and fight. Listen to your instincts, but don't let them control you, and if you want, I might be willing to kiss you again sometime if I feel like it. With wide eyes, Naruto exclaimed, you want to kiss me again? Kushina replied, well, what kind of girlfriend would I be if I didn't want to kiss my boyfriend? With wide eyes, Naruto uttered, you want to be my girlfriend? Kushina replied, I am your girlfriend. Wanting to be something and being something are two different things. One is try and one is do. In this world it is either do or do not. There is no try. You want to be Hokage, you either work hard and do what you must to be Hokage, or you don't. You can't go at it half-ass or you are doomed to fail. Now I know that you and I only met each other today, but I feel like I've known you for a lot longer. I bet you probably had some girl you liked already or have someone who likes you and you never notice, right? Kushina said, and Naruto, who was shocked to hear it, took it all in and nodded his head. Says Naruto. Yeah, Sakura-chan. I think I saw her. She has pink hair and is a fangirl chasing somebody named Sasuke, right? Kushina said, biting her lip. Kushina said, Naruto, you remember how I told you that if you want to be Hokage you have to go at it with everything you have, right? As Naruto scowls but nods. Naruto looks at Kushina and says, to Sakura, Sasuke is like the position of Hokage to you. A goal. I don't know if she actually likes him or not, but either way she is so focused on getting him that she's got what is called tunnel vision. It is usually something that happens when someone's so focused on one thing they miss what is around them, which as a ninja can get them killed. She won't look at you as more than an annoyance if you try to get her to like you right now, and will most likely attack you as she would an enemy. She hits you when you ask her out or get in her way of Sasuke, doesn't she? Naruto looks at Kushina with a frown. That proves my point. You need to take a step back because right now you have tunnel vision. You are so focused on her that you don't see what is around you right now. In response, Naruto asked, what do you mean? Kushina replied, you want to know why I thought you had a girlfriend? It's because I noticed someone following us earlier and she had a look of jealousy on her face. I don't know who she was, but if she's jealous of me being with you then odds are that she likes you, and if you don't know who she is then it's obvious that you were so focused on Sakura that you missed her, and if you missed her then odds are there are others out there you missed. Kushina remarked, Naruto, can I trust you? As Naruto scowled and looked thoughtfully. The reason I am trying to point this out to you is because I once had tunnel vision. I was so focused on one thing that I missed my chance for great happiness, Kushina said as Naruto nods and breaks off his reverie. Naruto inquired, "What do you mean?" As she started crying, Kushina bit her lip and uttered, I can't talk about it." When he heard Kushina's words and tears, Naruto's eyes widened and he opened his mouth to speak, but Kushina hurried forward and gave him a tight hug, turning her head away from Naruto's face so he couldn't see her face. Kushina held Naruto tightly as he wrapped his arms around her. For a few minutes, neither of them spoke until Kushina uttered the words, "Naruto." "You don't have to say anything, Kushina," Naruto said quietly. "Thank you." Kushina grinned after stroking Kushina's red hair with his hands. Naruto remarked, "Your hair, I like it, it's soft and beautiful." When Kushina heard Naruto mention her hair, she tensed, but when he was done, she relaxed and a genuine smile came to her face. Kushina wiped her face quickly after they split up and said, "Thank you Naruto, I needed that." It was Naruto who said, "Anytime Kushina-chan." After glancing at the time, Kushina remarked, "You should probably go or you will be late." "Are you alright?" said Naruto, biting his lip. Nodding, Kushina uttered, "I am now thanks to you." Before leaving, Naruto nodded and grinned broadly. With a gentle smile, Kushina said, "I love you, Naruto." A number of people were staring at Naruto as he moved through the village, and he noticed that many of them had shocked, surprised, disbelieving, or amazed expressions on their faces. Naruto showed the Sandame his new outfit after having his picture taken, and the Sandame expressed surprise, saying, "I must say I'm surprised that you've changed your style of clothing. I do see a little orange, but I can honestly say it's a welcome sight." Naruto replied, "Thanks Gigi, but the credit goes to Kushina-chan. She's the one who got them for me. She said that if I'm going to prove people that I can be Hokage, I have to become someone others would follow and do everything to prove I should be Hokage." "Are things with Kushina okay, Naruto?" Hiruzen asked, nodding. Naruto licked his lips before saying, "Gigi, thank you for helping her get started here. I can't even describe how great things feel with her in my life." Hiruzen replied, "I see, well, I'm happy that things seem to be going better for you now Naruto. I hate to say it, but..." A shout of, "I got you old man," was heard as the office door suddenly flew open, and Naruto hurried to look at a child who rushed in carrying a wooden kunai and tripped over his scarf. In his mind, Hiruzen said, "Not again." Sweating, Naruto asked himself, "Who is this idiot?" The boy got up, took a moment to look around, and then pointed to Naruto, saying, You tripped me." With a frown, Naruto asked, "Who is this kid?" After listening to Naruto's query, Hiruzen remarked, "This is my grandson Konohamaru." "Admit it, you tripped me," Konohamaru said. Naruto looked at Konohamaru and said, "You tripped because you got tunnel vision, focusing so much on your target you didn't notice the things around you. A problem that can get you killed. You tripped on your own scarf." Hiruzen raised an eyebrow at Naruto and blinked, while Konohamaru yelled, "Liar." The next moment, Hiruzen threw a kunai, pinning the Konohamaru scarf to the wall and saying, "That's enough. Konohamaru, Naruto here was kind enough to tell you something very wise that could save your life in the future, but you insult him. I will not allow you to dishonor our family name and honor like that. You tripped over your own scarf because you were so focused on looking at me." A man rushed into the room and said, "Honorable grandson, where are you?" "Oh, there you are, honorable grandson. You shouldn't run off like that." Konohamaru appeared shocked after hearing his grandfather's words and was about to respond. "Who's he?" Naruto scowled, turned back to face the Sandame, and gestured to the man who had dashed into the room. When the man said, "My name is Ebisu, I am an instructor of Hokages," and Hiruzen began to speak. Blinking, Naruto uttered the words, "Liar." "Excuse me," Ebisu said. Naruto stated, "You weren't even alive when the Shodem and Nidame was alive, so you couldn't have trained them. The Sandame was trained by both the Shodem and Nidame, and the Yondaime was trained by Jiraiya of the Sanins, who was a student of the Sandame. That means that you didn't train any Hokage, so you can't be an instructor of Hokages because you were a fraud." Hiruzen looked at Ebisu and said, "Ebisu here is an instructor I have teaching my grandson Konohamaru to prepare him to be a ninja, since I can't be there to do it myself, and his uncle is a ninja on missions." Naruto looked up and replied, "Doesn't that seem like an abuse of power, Gigi? I mean, you don't give private instructors to everyone who doesn't have someone to train them." Ebisu remarked, "Honorable grandson is a," as Hiruzen scowled. Naruto stated, "Konohamaru, his name is Konohamaru. No wonder he gets tunnel vision, because he learned it from you. You're so focused on his position as the grandson of the Sandame, you can't even see him for a person much like I bet you see me as what I am, then who I am, because I've seen you look at me like Mizuki did when you think nobody's looking." Be careful Konohamaru and don't let this faker fool you. I don't know why you want to attack Gigi, but you should know that you won't be able to do it by trying. Do or do not. There is no try, you either succeed or fail. When Ebisu's eyes widened behind his glasses, Naruto turned to Hiruzen and said, I've got plans for tonight, so I'll see you later Gigi. He then left the office. Hiruzen felt a tiny twinge of pride in his chest after hearing Naruto's words and witnessing his deeds, while Konohamaru gazed at him in amazement. Ignore that scoundrel's woe, said Ebisu. Then a kunai ring snapped the glasses that were thrown by Hiruzen. He said, don't insult him Ebisu, because I happen to agree with him. I have never once heard you once call my grandson his name, and it is an abuse of power for me to assign Konohamaru his own private instructor. You are also not an instructor of Hokage, you are an instructor who serves the Hokage. Now I want you to take Konohamaru back home, and I want you to think about why you should continue to train my grandson Konohamaru. I want you to think about why you deserve a private instructor when I don't give everyone one. I want both of you to give me a report tomorrow. Depending on the answers you both give me will determine if I allow you to continue to train him or if he even gets a trainer. Now go. But Ebisu said. Hiruzen replied, I am the Hokage. My word is final Ebisu, you will remember that or I will demote you back to Chunin. Do you understand? Frowning, Ebisu uttered, yes, Hokage-sama, come along. Honor, I mean Konohamaru. As he began to leave, Konohamaru scowled, glanced between Ebisu and Hiruzen, and uttered the words, Gramps, I'll walk myself home. When Hiruzen's eyes met Ebisu's, he said, very well, Ebisu, you are dismissed for the day. As Ebisu put it, yes, Hokage-sama, Naruto said, I'm home. As he entered his apartment after returning there and opening the door, he smelled something delicious. Welcome back, were you able to get everything taken care of? Kushina said as she emerged from the kitchen. Well, go wash your hands, dinner will be ready shortly, Kushina said as Naruto nodded. After cleaning his hands and returning to the living room, Kushina handed Naruto one of the 2 plates he had brought from the kitchen, saying, I hope you like this, it's grilled trout and potatoes. After taking a bite, Naruto remarked, it smells good. He then took multiple bites and concluded, it is good. As she started to eat, Kushina said, thank you. Following their meal, Kushina carried the plates back into the kitchen, and Naruto said, let me help you. Kushina replied, no, you sit down right there and tell me about your meeting with the Hokage and let me do this. With a sigh, Naruto started to tell her everything that had transpired since his departure. He saw Kushina putting away the last of the dishes, and when he finished, he said, I'm proud of you Naruto. Naruto grinned and said, thanks, all right, now tell me what skills you have, Kushina said, nodding. Naruto replied, well, I can do the Kagebunshin no Jutsu, Henge, replacement, and my sexy no Jutsu. As Kushina put it, what is your sexy no Jutsu? Naruto stated, it's my anti-pervert jutsu that knocks out perverts. Really, Kushina said, let me see it then. Excited, Naruto transformed into his seductive no jutsu form. I see. First, don't use that jutsu again, it's insulting to women. Now is that all the jutsu you know? Kushina scowled as Naruto changed back. Naruto nods as Kushina bites her lip. You're wasting too much chakra with your jutsu. I notice when you made your Kagebunshin to help clean up the table you used enough chakra to make 20 clones but only made a couple. You also wasted a lot of chakra just now with that jutsu, which is why you had so much smoke in both jutsu. To fix this, I think the first thing I should teach you is chakra control. According to Naruto, I already know how to control my chakra. Kushina nodded her head. You know how to use it but you don't know how to control it. Basically what you're doing is slurping a bowl full of ramen, causing it to spill everywhere instead of using chopsticks to eat it and getting the most enjoyment out of it. Then how do I learn to control it then? Said Naruto, scowling. A smirk from Kushina sent a shiver down Naruto's spine. After half an hour, they found themselves in a small clearing in the woods behind the Hokage monument. Kushina announced, this is a good spot to start. I'm going to teach you the first exercise, leaf balancing. She picked up a leaf and placed it on her head, causing it to fly off and start floating there. Hey, Naruto said, his eyes widening, Iruka-sensei showed that to me once. Kushina replied, then you should have listened to him and learned this already. Now in case you forgot, this is how you do it. You push chakra out of your head toward Te leaf. Too much chakra will cause it to fly away uncontrolled, while not enough won't make it do anything. Try to get it where you can get it to stay floating in one place like I am now. I want you to make as many Kagebunshins as you can and have them begin that exercise, and don't worry about explaining to them what to do. They know everything you know at the moment you create them. I want them to work until they run out of chakra so you get the most training done. After putting his hands together and nodding, Naruto uttered the words, Kagebunshin no Jutsu. There were more than 100 cage bunshin present, and the entire clearing was engulfed in smoke. Kushina replied, "Good, now all cage bunshin get started in this clearing and the real Naruto follow me." 10 minutes later, in a different clearing, Kushina said, "Okay, this is called tree walking." Naruto was startled and went wide-eyed as she walked up the side of a tree. As she returned down, she stated, "This exercise is like the leaf floating, but instead of sending chakra to your head, you're sending it to your feet. Too much and you will blow off, not enough and you will fall off. Same rules as before. Create as many cage bunshin as you can and let them start here while the real one follows me. Same as the tree walking and leaf balancing. Too much and you will blow off, not enough and you won't stick. You know the drill," Kushina said as she started to leave after Naruto gaped at her for 15 minutes while she was standing atop a small stream. "Now tomorrow I want you to go back to those same 3 clearings and have your cage bunshin do what they are doing now. This will help your chakra control a lot," Kushina said as he reached the 4th clearing after producing more cage bunshin. Naruto replied, "But what should I do? I mean, isn't this sort of cheating?" Kushina stated, "Naruto, I'm not going to lie to you, your body is severely underdeveloped because you're not eating right or exercising correctly. You're wasting a lot of energy and not getting a lot out of it, and you should be dead or in the hospital with how weak your body actually is. If it wasn't for the fox you would be. It's not cheating, it's you getting aid to catch up." Naruto sighed and replied, "That is why I am going to make sure you get the right food from now on, and I am going to help you fix the mistakes in your forms so you can get the most benefit out of each and every movement. All right." Following Naruto's nod, Kushina remarked, "Good, now drop and start doing push-ups." With a perplexed expression, Naruto uttered, "Huh?" Kushina stated, "We're going to start with the basics. I want to see you perform each exercise I tell you, and if they are wrong I will tell you and tell you how to correct them to get the most efficiency out of them. Now start doing push-ups." Several hours later, Kushina disregarded the stares she received from everyone as she strolled through Konoha while carrying Naruto on her back. When they arrived at their apartment and placed Naruto in his bed, Kushina brushed a flyaway hair from his face. Naruto then nuzzled her hand and whispered, "I love you." When Kushina heard Naruto's words, she froze and sat down next to the bed, staring at Naruto. Naruto woke up the following morning to the aroma of breakfast, sat up, and asked himself, How did I get back here?" The voice of Kushina came from the kitchen. "You passed out from training and I brought you back here last night. Go take a shower and get cleaned up. Breakfast will be ready in about 20 minutes. There's another scroll with cloths just like the ones you're wearing. I went ahead and got another 5 copies of it." Naruto hurried into the bathroom and started taking a quick shower after saying, Thanks." Kushina had a plate of eggs, bacon, rice, and toast next to her seat when Naruto emerged, and she gave it to him as he approached. Naruto prayed briefly before starting to eat, saying, "This is really good." "Thanks," Kushina said, "it's the first time I ever cooked it." According to Naruto, "Well, it's good." They were still eating when Kushina said, "Thanks." Naruto entered the kitchen to observe Kushina as she cleaned the 2 plates after they were done. She bit her lip while washing the dishes and said, "Naruto," in a quiet, uncertain voice. "Yeah," Naruto replied as she stopped and turned back to Naruto. Kushina closed her eyes and uttered, "Last night when I brought you back you said in your sleep you love me, did you?" After standing there in silence for a few minutes while Naruto froze, Kushina let her shoulders drop and sighed, saying, "Never mind." When Naruto noticed Kushina's depression, he replied, "Yes." Tensing, Kushina uttered the words, "What?" It was Naruto who said, "I love you." With her eyes closed, Kushina uttered, "I'm glad. I thought you would hate me." "Why would you think I would hate you?" Naruto asked, his eyes widening. With her back to Naruto, Kushina bit her lip and uttered, "Because I haven't been completely honest with you." "What do you mean?" asked Naruto, scowling. "I know more about you than you think. I've watched you for longer than you think I have," Kushina remarked, glancing down at the sink's water. Naruto replied, "But you said you didn't arrive in Konoha until yesterday." Kushina clenched her teeth and replied, "That's a half-truth. I did just arrive yesterday, but it's complicated. Can we go sit down in the front room? It's hard for me to say what I want to say and I need you to be silent and let me tell you everything, will you?" With a pursed lip, Naruto said, "All right." Kushina passed in front of Naruto as they made their way to the living room, but Naruto didn't look away. Following their seating arrangement, Kushina placed her hands in her lap and uttered the words, This is very hard for me to talk about. I am scared." "Just calm down, Kushina. If you don't want to talk about it all," Naruto said, as he gently grabbed her hand after noticing that she was actually shaking from fear. Kushina replied, "No, I mean, you said you love me. That means more than you can ever imagine to me. Even if you hate me after you find out the truth, I can still be happy that you love me for a moment." When Naruto bit his lip, Kushina thought, "Can you hear me, Naruto?" and sent a tiny chakra into the hand Naruto was holding. "Don't speak out loud, just think your thoughts, and as long as we are holding hands we should be able to hear each other," Kushina thought as Naruto's eyes widened. Naruto was thinking, "I can hear you, Kushina, what is this, some kind of jutsu?" Kushina took a deep breath and said, "I'll explain in a minute, you can't speak out loud because we might be getting spied on, and if anyone hears what we are talking about then we both will be in a lot of danger." "What are you talking, I mean thinking, what do we call this?" scowled Naruto. Kushina was chuckling. "This is a bond that we have, Naruto, to communicate with each other. It's a bond that should be a lot stronger now than it is. It is a bond that siblings share, twin siblings. Remember, we might be spied on, think what you want to say but do it calmly, I'm not going anywhere." Kushina quickly covered Naruto's mouth as his eyes widened and he opened it to speak. "Please be patient with me and give me time to think about what I want to say, Naruto, this isn't easy." "What do you mean, twin siblings? We don't look anything alike," Naruto pondered as he nodded. Kushina was thinking, "I know you look almost exactly like Dad and I look almost exactly like Mom." This made Naruto tense, and he asked himself, "And how do you know what our parents look like?" Kushina thought, "The day we were born, October 10th, Mom went into labor to deliver us, but she along with Dad were attacked by members of the Uchiha clan. Mom was the previous Jinchuriki for the Kyuubi before you. You were born first and the Uchiha clan members tried to kidnap you, but Dad fought them, but one of them was able to kidnap Mom before she had me. After they kidnapped her I was born and they took me away. Dad was able to rescue her, but he didn't know about me because they thought they only had one baby, not two. Until 4 years ago I was raised by another prisoner the Uchiha clan had kidnapped. She was a student of our father's and so she was able to tell me about them and teach me. With her help I was able to escape, but it cost her her life. She told me about a secret house Mom and Dad had made as a safe house for them. I've been living there getting stronger so that I could return to Konoha and get revenge on the Uchiha clan. I must have escaped right before the massacre happened. When I got to Konoha I saw your prank on the Hokage monument, and when I heard a couple of people say your name I remember reading in Mom's diary about how she was planning to name you Naruto, and the fact you look like the pictures I saw of Dad I became suspicious that you might be my brother." Naruto asked himself, "Am I?" Kushina believed, "Yes. Since Mom was the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi before you, her and Dad had a seal that they had created that would respond to the Kyuubi chakra in a certain way when it comes in contact with those who are related to the Jinchuriki. It's a failsafe. Mom was worried that the Kyuubi chakra might hurt us accidentally if she accidentally lost control. It made it where Kyuubi chakra is yanked back behind the seal instead of in your system. I was watching you when you broke into the Hokage tower and when you fought Mizuki, so I knew you had accidentally drawn on a little of Kyuubi chakra. After you fell asleep that night I snuck in and tried the seal to see if it would respond, and it did. If we weren't related then it wouldn't have worked." Naruto was thinking, "I'm confused now. If I'm your brother, then why did we, kiss?" Kushina broke down in tears. "You and I will never be like normal siblings. If people found out that I was your sister they would take me away from you." Widening his eyes, Naruto thought, "What, why?" Kushina believed, "Because this village is using you. The Sandaime knew why you were hated, but he lied to you. He knows about our parents and he lied to you. Remember when he first saw me? Remember how he got pale and how he was asking about my last name? Since I look like Mom he's trying to figure out who I am and if I am a threat to his control over you." It occurred to Naruto, "He doesn't control me." Kushina believed, "Naruto, our father was the Yondaime Hokage, the man who sealed Kyuubi in you after the Uchiha clan released it. Our mom was the previous Jinchuriki. The Sandaime told you about his law. He told the village about you in order to pass that law because he knew the people would hate you, so that he could come in and play the nice guy and have you love him. You want to be Hokage because you want to be just like him, right? To help others like he helped you." "Gigi doesn't control me," thought Naruto defensively as he scowled. Kushina interrupted him and said, "Maybe you're right. You have no idea what I went through when I was a prisoner, Naruto. You have no idea what it is like to hear their plans for me. The only reason I was spared from most torture is because they needed me healthy to produce children later, because they wanted our mother's bloodline to help increase their bloodline. Because of them I don't trust those in power. They had power as the police force, but that was only a public face they showed to deceive others. I guess part of me believes all people in power have a public face that make them look good while in private they're anything but." Naruto sighed as he thought, "Alright Kushina, I can't claim to imagine what you went through. Maybe on some level you were right. Gigi is the Hokage and he has to do what is best for everyone, not just me." Looking down, Kushina said, "I care for you, Naruto." She thought, "Maybe we both are a bit defensive. I'm sorry if I upset you." According to Naruto, "I care for you also, Kushina." With a smile, Kushina reflected, I don't want people to know that we are related. Naruto's eyes widened and he asked himself, why? Kushina glanced at Naruto. Because I don't think I'll ever be able to trust anyone besides you ever again. You are the only family I have in this world, and if I can't trust you, then I know I'll never be able to trust anyone. You said you won't be able to trust anyone ever again. What happened? Naruto scowled. Kushina stopped and reflected. Rin, she was a student of our dad, like I told you. She raised me, but after we escaped we were together. Shortly after that I woke up one day and she was gone. She was the only thing in the world I felt safe about and could trust, but then she left me without even saying goodbye or anything. Being scared in prison was one thing, but being scared all alone, that is something else. Tragically, Naruto thought. I know. Kushina was hearing his ideas. Sorry for bringing up bad memories. It's just after she left me and I had to take care of myself. I vowed never to trust anyone again because in the end I would be betrayed. That is until I seen you, and after finding out you were my brother I felt that maybe, just maybe, that I can trust someone again, especially after I saw the way you were treated and found out why you were treated the way you were. So the question is, can I trust you? As she turned to gaze at Naruto directly in his eyes. They were still holding hands when Naruto noticed her staring into his eyes and thought, she's testing to see if I am going to tell the truth. Kushina was thinking, yes I am. Can I trust you, Naruto? Can I trust you with my trust? Can I trust you with my heart, mind, body, and soul? Can I count on you to be there for me when I need a shoulder to cry on or someone to lean on to protect me, and to love me as not only your sister, but also as a woman? After swallowing, Naruto replied, yes. Naruto was slammed against the couch the next moment, and Kushina was on top of him, kissing him as hard as she could while crying deeply. At first, Naruto was shocked, but as he felt Kushina's desperate attempt to physically draw him closer to her, he closed his eyes and gave him a slow kiss in return before becoming more and more involved. While still kissing him, Kushina grabbed Naruto's shirt and started pulling it up before descending. Naruto put one hand on Kushina's lower back and the other on the back of her head. Naruto was naked on his bed a few hours later, with Kushina's head resting on his chest and her legs wrapped around his naked right leg. Since they had both woken up after fainting earlier, neither spoke. What does this mean now? Asked Naruto, who had the least amount of patience. I'm your girlfriend and you're my boyfriend, that's all we need to tell anyone, Kushina said after a brief period of silence. In his mind, Naruto asked, but what about us being siblings? Kushina reflected, I asked you if I could trust you with my heart, body, and soul. You said yes, so I did. I've given you the greatest gift a woman can give a man, my virginity. It may not be much to you since all you had to do was stick your dick in and push, but to a woman it means a whole lot more. It's a symbol showing that a woman is leaving her childhood behind as a little girl to become a woman. After hearing Kushina's words, Naruto swallowed and opened his mouth to respond when the door was knocked on. Kushina and Naruto both stiffened, and as she moved away from Naruto, she remarked, only people who know I live here is the Sandame. It must be for you because I can't think of any reason why he would be wanting me. With a nod, Naruto puts on his pants, puts on a shirt, and walks to the front door. When Naruto opened the door and saw Iruka standing there, his eyes widened, and he exclaimed, Iruka-sensei, what are you doing here? I came by to see how you were doing, Iruka said. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly and remarked, I'm a little tired. I've been training hard to get ready to be placed on my teams. Iruka squinted and asked, what did you do, Naruto? Blinking, Naruto asked, what do you mean, Iruka-sensei? Iruka replied, you were my student for years and I know when you are feeling guilty about something. Don't tell me you're still pulling pranks. Said Naruto as a woman's hand trailed up Naruto's arm and over his shoulder. A seductive voice asked, what's taking you so long to come back to bed, Naruto-kun? Kushina stepped forward, holding a sheet over her chest, and peered out the door next to Naruto, which helped to partially conceal her body. Hello Chunin-san. Is there something you need? Naruto-kun and I were in the middle of something important. Kushina noticed Iruka's eyes widen as he looked from Naruto to Kushina. When Iruka blew back with a nosebleed, Kushina caught Naruto's lips and wrapped her arms around him, letting the sheet drop from her body as she clicked her teeth and pushed the door shut. When Naruto's thoughts stalled, he asked himself, what was I thinking about? How much you want to take me back to bed and pleasure me some more? Kushina thought as he laughed. When there were multiple loud bangs on the door, Kushina eeped as Naruto picked her up in bridal style and started to carry her to the bedroom. As she stepped out of Naruto's arms and started to walk sensuously toward the bathroom, shaking her hips, Kushina moaned and Naruto growled, I'm going to take a shower. If you can get rid of him before the water gets warm, you can join me in the shower. If not, then I'll make sure that you have nothing but cold water to take a shower in your choice. Naruto's gaze followed her hips before he moaned, walked over to the door, and snarled, "What, sorry Iruka-sensei? I'm—" as Iruka's face took on a shocked expression. Iruka exclaimed, "What is going on here?" "Well, you see, when a man and a woman," Naruto said. Red in the face, Iruka uttered, "Not that, you idiot." Slam. "The only reason I'm an idiot is because of you and everyone else in this village doing everything they can to make me weak, because the only thing people fear more than a demon is a smart demon." Naruto slammed the door in Iruka's face, leaving him stunned. "This is my home. If all you want to do is come here and insult me and yell at me, then leave. I get enough of that everywhere else. I don't need it here." After a few moments of reflection, Iruka scowled and said, "I'm sorry, Naruto." Then he turned and began to leave. As Naruto heard Iruka's words, he experienced an ache in his chest. Kushina noticed Naruto sitting with his knees up to his chest against the door, looking dejected, when she emerged from the restroom. With a worried tone, Kushina approached Naruto and bit her lip before asking, "What's wrong?" Naruto replied, "You saw what happened between me and Mizuki, right?" Kushina responds with a nod. "You're upset about what happened between you and Iruka because he important to you, right?" Naruto looks at Kushina and says, "Tell you what, Naruto, you go practice those 3 chakra control exercises I showed you and do the correct basic exercises I helped you with yesterday. I'm going to go see the Hokage about my mission, and I'll ask him if he could invite Iruka back over tonight and we can have dinner together, and I'll explain things to him, all right?" "Calm down, Naruto, I already know what I'm going to say to him. In fact, why don't I invite your Gigi as well?" Kushina said as Naruto's expression turned worried. Naruto said, but as his eyes widened, "Calm down, Naruto, everything will be fine. You just need to remain composed and let me take care of it." Kushina put her hands on Naruto's cheeks. After inhaling deeply, Naruto said, "All right." Kushina replied, "Good, now go train. Your chakra control needs a lot more work." "What time should I be back?" inquired Naruto after noticing that it was 10 o'clock. Kushina said, "Try to be back by 3 p.m. okay?" After Naruto nods and stands up, Kushina gives him a kiss and says, "Now get going." She also gives him a playful slap on the ass. 20 minutes later, Hiruzen looked up from his paperwork as Kushina entered the Sandame's office and remarked, Kushina, I was starting to think that you weren't going to show up." Kushina stated, "A few distractions arose this morning that delay me, Hokage-sama. I'll try to be more punctual in the future." Hiruzen nods as he says, "Well, I got a simple D rank, though it will be harder since it's only you. The Fire Lord's cat Tora has escaped again and is running around the village loose." And as she produced a scroll and a puff of smoke, Kushina blinked and said, "Oh, you mean this guy?" The Sandame was shocked to see Tora in her arms and inquired, "How?" According to Kushina, "Tora here came up to me when I was taking the trash out and I picked her up and was going to take her to the local vet later since I didn't know who she belonged to." Hiruzen replied, "Well, that is a new record for capturing Tora, one that I doubt can or will ever be beat. Well, if you would put her in that pet carrier over there, I'll go ahead and give you a pay voucher for a successful mission." After giving a nod, Kushina goes to the pet carrier, places Tora inside, and then returns to the Sandame's desk, where he holds up a piece of paper and says, "There you go." Kushina replied, "Thank you, Hokage-sama. Might I ask a small favor, Hokage-sama?" Hiruzen nods as Kushina speaks. "Earlier a man by the name of Iruka showed up at Naruto's apartment, and because of not only the state of dress we were in at the moment but also my presence, I feel that things got off to a bad start and Naruto and Iruka had a small disagreement. I'm not sure what exactly had happened since I had went to the bathroom to finish getting ready, but Naruto is really upset and wants to explain things to Iruka, and so I told him I would invite him over for dinner this evening and try to explain things. I would like to invite you also, Hokage-sama, because there are a few things I think you know." Hiruzen replied, "Oh, do you think you could tell me here what it is? I am a very busy man after all." Kushina clenched her teeth and said, "I don't know you enough to trust you completely, Hokage-sama, but Naruto trusts you, but I don't trust this office. Naruto told me when he was upset about what happened with Iruka, Mizuki, him, and a certain scroll. Naruto mentioned something that set off warning bells to me that makes me believe this office isn't as secure as it should be." According to Hiruzen, "And what might that be?" Kushina responded, "How does a Chunin-level academy instructor get the combination to the Hokage safe? Naruto told me Mizuki gave him the combination to open the safe. I would suspect that combination should be a very guarded secret, so I believe that either this office isn't as secure as it should be or someone with high-level clearance was aiding Mizuki." Hiruzen opened his eyes a bit and replied, "I see. I will look into this matter, Kushina, because you're right. There should be no way Mizuki knew that combination, and I'll make sure that we find out how he knew it." "Did Naruto tell you anything else about that night, Kushina?" Kushina replied, "What did I say was the subject? I had to learn the Kagebunshin no Jutsu for Hokage-sama." Blinking, Hiruzen remarked, I see. What do you plan to do with that info? Kushina replied, I'll answer that tonight at our apartment because I know it's secure and because I got a question you should think about between now and then. Why did Tobirama Senju give the Uchiha clan the Konoha police force the week after his brother was killed by Madara Uchiha? Also ask yourself this. If Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha's bodies were both destroyed in the battle at the Valley of the Inn, where did Orochimaru get his sample for his experiments? With a scowl, Hiruzen asked, how do you know about Orochimaru and his experiments? Kushina stated, I was raised by a certain medic who gave an eye to a one-eyed dog on a battlefield until dinner tonight. I won't say anything else in case this office isn't secure. Dinner's at 5. Please bring Iruka, and if you feel like it, bring the one-eyed dog as well, but make sure he's not late. Pursing his lips, Hiruzen uttered, very well, but no more games, Kushina. Life's too short not to have some fun sometimes. Hokage-sama, bye. Kushina grinned as she walked away. ANBU, Hiruzen scowled as he watched her go, thinking, I will get my answers tonight, one way or another. An Anbu showed up and Hiruzen requested, please inform Amino Iruka and Hitaki Kakashi to meet me at 4:30 this afternoon and do not be late. Also have Ibiki come to my office immediately. Within 5 minutes Ibiki had walked into the Sandame's office. Hiruzen replied, Ibiki, I want you to re-question Mizuki and find out how he knew the combination to my safe. I just learned that he gave it to Naruto the night he stole the scroll. If you can't get him to talk, then I want my office searched for possible listening or video devices and also put together a list of all those who might have that combination, including those who would have to be notified if the combination is changed. Ibiki replied, yes Hokage-sama, is there anything else? Hiruzen frowned and said, for now no. Is everything alright Hokage-sama? Asked Ibiki. Hiruzen was saying, just keep me advised about what you discover, but keep this a secret. As he walked away, Ibiki nodded and said, goodbye Hokage-sama. When Kakashi and Iruka entered Hiruzen's office at 4:30, Iruka remarked, you wanted to see us Hokage-sama? Hiruzen replied, yes, recently a girl by the name of Kushina arrived in Konoha and has become quickly attached to Naruto Uzumaki. She's told me some things that have put me on alert and has promised to answer my questions tonight at dinner at 5. She has requested that both of you be there, so we are going to Naruto Uzumaki apartment for dinner tonight, but I want both of you on alert, and if I tell you to protect Naruto, even if you have to subdue him to do it. Hearing this, both men stiffened, and Kakashi asked, do you think she poses a threat, Hokage-sama? Hiruzen replied, I don't know Kakashi, but she claims that she was raised by the medic Nin who gave you that eye. That's not possible, Hokage-sama, Kakashi said, his eyes widening. Hiruzen stated, her body was never discovered. Kakashi, I should also warn you that she looks like another woman who was named Kushina. Says Kakashi. Understood Hokage-sama, Hiruzen said, let's go ahead and head over there. I want to get this meeting started, as Iruka appeared perplexed. After nodding, the three men quietly left. Please get the front door, Naruto, said Kushina, who was in the kitchen, tensing up for a moment. Our guest has arrived with an extra guest. Sitting at the new table that Kushina had purchased, Naruto blinked and uttered the word, huh. The door suddenly knocked, and Naruto, looking surprised, went to open it and uttered, oh, Hijiji, Iruka-sense, I don't know you. Hiruzen replied, this is Hitaki Kakashi. Kushina mentioned I should bring him also. Naruto responds with a nod. Come on in then. Hey Kushina, how did you know they were here with this other guy? I'm a sensor, Naruto. I detected their chakra signatures when they shushined into the hall, Kushina said in a voice from the kitchen. Hiruzen remarked, I see your apartment has changed a lot since the last time I was here, Naruto, after the three men blinked and surveyed the space. Naruto replied, yeah, Kushina-chan did all the painting, grocery shopping, and she even bought the new furniture. Hiruzen narrowed his eyes and remarked, I'm surprised that you were able to get so much on so little, Kushina, as the three men checked their surroundings. According to Kushina, I went by the Wolf Claw weapon shop and bought the supplies I needed to make exploding tags, and then I made them with my knowledge of seals and turned around and sold the tags back to the Wolf Claw and made a small profit. I get $6 a tag and they turn around and sell them for $10 a tag, and it cost me about $3 a tag to make them, so I double my money the last 2 days each day, which is how I was able to afford all this. I see, Hiruzen said. Do you need any help, Kushina-chan? Asked Naruto. Kushina replied, if you want you can be a good host and ask our guest if they would like any tea, milk, or water to drink, since dinner won't be ready for another 5 minutes. With a sheepish expression, Naruto asked, would any of you like something to drink? As Iruka put it, water please. According to Hiruzen, the same. In response, Kakashi said, nothing for me. After giving a nod, Naruto said, I heard them, Naruto, I'll bring them out. As Kushina emerged from the kitchen with a tray filled with 4 glasses of water, Kakashi's eyes widened at the sight of her. A blue cotton dress caught Hiruzen's eye, and he said, "You promised to explain some things, Kushina." Kushina replied, "I guess so. I'm sure the most important question to Kakashi is about Rin. If you look at the photo on the coffee table, you will see me and her in it a few years back. That will show that she was alive after she was reported dead. Now, if you will excuse me, I need to get the last of the food ready." When she returned to the kitchen with haste, Kakashi went to the coffee table, grabbed the photo, and exclaimed, "Hokage-sama, it's her." As Hiruzen approached, he noticed a photograph of an older-looking Rin in Izuka and what appeared to be a 9-year-old Kushina. Hiruzen scowled, put the photo down, and questioned, "Where is Rin now, and why did she lead us all to believe she was dead?" Kushina returned to the dining room with 3 other Kushina each carrying a tray of food. She sat down at the table before her cage bunshin exploded in smoke, and she said, "Please sit down and I'll explain, Hokage-sama." Kushina took a sip of water and said, "I asked you earlier, why did Tobirama Senju give the Uchiha clan the Konoha police force the week after his brother was killed by Madara Uchiha? The reason I ask that is because it relates to who I really am." Naruto then sat down next to Kushina at the table. "What do you mean? Who are you?" asked Iruka. Kushina replied, "My name is Kushina Uzumaki Senju, the great-granddaughter of the Nidaime Hokage." "That's not pos," said Hiruzen as everyone's eyes widened. "Let me show you my proof before you go on about it not being possible," Kushina said, raising her hand. "I'm sure you'll claim that your sensei never had any kids. In actuality, he did have a son, whom he brought to Whirlpool to meet the girl to whom he was supposed to be engaged as part of the peace agreement between Konoha and Whirlpool. Mito Uzumaki Senju, the Shodem's wife, informed him while he was there that his brother was pursuing Madara Uchiha, whom he discovered standing over the body of Tobirama's wife. Tobirama requested that the Uzumaki clan watch his son while he hurried back to Konoha to help his brother and find the person who killed his wife. It was already too late when he got back, since neither Madara's nor Hashirama's bodies were discovered. Tobirama lost faith in the Uchiha clan and chose to conceal the fact that his son was still alive by keeping him in Whirlpool. He also provided the Uchiha clan with the police force for this reason, allowing him to monitor and keep them in Konoha. Ignoring the shocked expressions on everyone's faces, Hiruzen scowled and asked, "Do you have any proof?" Kushina replied, "I do, but it will have to wait until I explain everything else because it's all related." "Very well, please continue," Hiruzen said. Kushina nods and explains, "If the body of Hashirama was never found, how was Orochimaru able to conduct his experiments on the Mokuton bloodline? Rin's sensei asked her to perform a paternity test on his blood. He was curious about the identities of his parents. 2 matches were found in the paternity test results. Orochimaru was in charge of the R&D department, which received a female Suna prisoner as the first inmate. The outcome of the other match was Nawaki Senju's match." Kushina said, "Rin's sensei was the nephew of Tsunade Senju," meaning, as Hiruzen caught his breath. With a bewildered expression, Naruto uttered, "Meaning what?" Kushina replied, "You and I are the last of both the Uzumaki and Senju clan besides your great-aunt Tsunade. That is, if what you said is accurate," Hiruzen remarked. He tried not to panic but questioned whether it was genuine. "I have yet to see any proof." "That leads me to the final piece of information," Kushina said, nodding. "The same people who took Rin also took me. And they killed my parents not long after I was born. She was responsible for looking after me, and I was housed in the same underground prison as her. Rin's mission was actually linked to me, which is how they learned about my parents and me." She said, "I was to be betrothed to her sensei's son to help restore both our clans," as she produced a scroll and placed it on the table. "It looks like she's telling the truth," Hiruzen said after scowling and grabbing the scroll to open it. "This contract bears the Yondaime's seal. Have you revealed Naruto's parents' identities?" Kushina stated, "I tested him shortly after to make sure he was who I believed him to be. However, I hadn't informed him about the engagement." After scowling and glancing back and forth between Kushina and Naruto multiple times, Hiruzen muttered, "I see, Naruto, now that you know the truth about your parents," he said. "What plans do you have?" Kushina said, "Hokage-sama, if it's okay with you, I would like all this to be kept secret right now." As Naruto scowled and turned to face her, "I am aware that the individuals who imprisoned Rin and me still have supporters in Konoha." Hiruzen scowled and uttered the words, "Who? Danzo?" Kushina said. Hearing that name, everyone except Naruto scowled, and Hiruzen asked, "Do you have any proof?" The Mokuton bloodline, from where he was funding Orochimaru experiments, and several Sharingan eyes that were part of the payment for his help in diverting the truth about certain things, are in Danzo's arm in his sling, Kushina said. Additionally, beneath his bandages is Uchiha Shisho's Sharingan eye. Hiruzen asked, "Are you sure?" as everyone's eyes widened. With a nod, Kushina remarked, I heard the people who held us prisoners talking about it several times. Hiruzen replied, who are they and where is this prison you were held at? After glancing down at the table, Kushina remarked, I don't know for sure who they were. The prison they had was under an old Uchiha fortress that is north of Konoha, but I do know that the men had the Sharingan. Iruka replied, the Uchiha clan are all dead now except for. I never said they were Uchihas, Kushina remarked, they simply possessed the Sharingan. Here is Kakashi's evidence to support my claims. You're saying that they have transplants, Hiruzen said, tensing up. That's what Rin thought. Kushina stated she thought her successful transplantation of Obito's eye into Kakashi was the reason she was arrested, and Danzo received a Yamanaka in his route. Iruka replied, but where would they get access to Sharingans? The Uchiha clan had a cave 16 miles southeast of Iron Country where they stored the Sharingan eyes of every Uchiha when they died, Kushina said, turning away a tank bearing the name of the Uchiha who were watching. It contained hundreds of Sharingans. Naruto inquired, how do you know that, Kushina? Kushina stated, I used the information I overheard the men discussing what they called the treasure vault because I was afraid Rin had been recaptured after she vanished. I went there, located the cave, and removed the eyes so that, should they possess Rin, I could use them to secure her release. According to Hiruzen, you have the Sharingans. I summoned the entire Sharingan collection in reverse to a hidden location that only I know about, Kushina said. Although I'm happy to show you the collection, I won't give it to you or anybody else. She glanced at Hiruzen and said, it's my insurance policy for Naruto, myself, and if she's alive, Rin. I could force you to tell me, Hiruzen said with a sly smile. Kushina declared, I have special seals on me that prevent me from being put under genjutsu, make it impossible for someone to enter my mind, and allow me to be reversed summoned to a safe place in the event that I am captured. Even though my chakra is blocked, I've made seals to thwart every kind of interference you attempt, in addition to making sure I would never be in that predicament again after what I had gone through. I also made sure that if I were to disappear, certain things would happen. Are you threatening me? Asked Hiruzen as everyone else became tense. Hiruzen was frozen by a voice that said, you could say that, Hiruzen. You're the, Naruto said as everyone turned and gasped. According to Hiruzen, Tobirama sensei, is that you? Looking at his hands, Tobirama Senju said, I see my great-granddaughter is full of surprises herself. I wonder though, this isn't the Edo Tasai, is it? He was standing in the doorway leading from the bedroom. Kushina replied, it's a modified version I created that did not require a human sacrifice. According to Tobirama, really how, you know how chakra is made from both physical and spiritual energy, and how everyone, even ordinary people, naturally releases a small amount of chakra all the time. Kushina said, I made a seal that stores and absorbs the spiritual aspect of chakra. You are made of the fragments of hundreds of souls in essence. Tobirama replied, amazing. Why have you resurrected me for, and how long will I live? I've only used this jutsu once, to revive a pet that I had to keep me company after Rin vanished, so I'm not sure how long you'll live, Kushina said. But I figured you could help us where no one else but your brother could. I have some secrets I would rather not share with anyone outside the Senju clan because Naruto is a Jinchuriki and their descendant. I also intend to revive your brother and his wife. Naruto replied, if you can bring the dead back to life, why not bring back mom and dad? Your father summoned the Shinigami to seal Kyuubi in you, Kushina said. Biting her lip, he sealed a part of his soul in the seal before he passed away, and I am unable to call him. He also sealed your mother's soul in your seal. Everybody's eyes widened, and Kakashi asked, how do you know that? Kushina lowered her head and said, I looked at Naruto memories to prove who his parents were to make sure he was who I thought he was, and one of the first memories I saw was the sealing. With a pale face, Naruto asked, what all did you see? Just a few random memories in the sealing, Kushina stated later. I'll let you know which ones. Do you really need to bring them back? Asked Tobirama. Kushina stated, Mito was a Jinchuriki for Kyuubi herself, and Hashirama had the ability to suppress Kyuubi chakra. If Naruto is going to learn to control Kyuubi chakra and not accidentally go out of control if he becomes too angry, then they are the best option. Besides, I'm good with seals, but I doubt I am anywhere near as good as the Uzumaki clan were, and since Naruto, Tsunade, Senju and me are all that is left of both the Uzumaki and Senju clans, someone's got to help us reach our full potential, especially when right now all we are is Konoha punching bag and a prison girl whose clan was abandoned in their time of need. Tobirama asked, is there something I should know, Hiruzen? After glancing at the paled man. Hiruzen said, with trepidation pulling out a sealing tag. Kushina held it up to Tobirama and said, Place this on my forehead and place chakra in it while holding your hand to it, and you will be able to see all my memories from the moment I was born until now. Are you sure you wish for me to see your memories? Tobirama asked with a frown. Naruto, will you let him see your memories as well so that he can know everything about the fate of our family? Kushina asked, glancing at Naruto, who was distressed. Hiruzen remarked, I don't think that will be, as everyone paled except for those who had Senju blood in them. Hiruzen was interrupted by Naruto's, yes. The non-Senju face lost all of its color, and Hiruzen exclaimed, Sensei I. Before the seal started to glow, Tobirama took the sealing tag from Kushina and put it on her forehead, saying, say that I have a hunch I know what is going on and I want to find out if I am right. What should we do, Hokage-sama? Kakashi asked as Tobirama's eyes went gloss over. With a pale face, Hiruzen said, take a deep breath and learn to breathe like a fish. So you're both mine and Hashirama descendants. I can understand why you want to keep it a secret and I'll play along. Tobirama then said, now Naruto, are you sure you want me to see your memories? As the three non-Senju were swept out of the room by a tidal wave. Kushina said, it's okay, Naruto, he's family, as Naruto turned to face him. Tobirama put the same tag on Naruto's head, and when it started to glow, Tobirama's eyes widened before narrowing. Naruto nodded and took a deep breath. Before a tremendous wind and rainstorm swept across the village, Hiruzen, who was cleaning mud and shattered glass from his face, went pale and exclaimed, fuck, he's pissed. Storm clouds were starting to form above the village. Tobirama was gritting his teeth back in Naruto's apartment when he uttered the barely controlled words, bring them back to life now. After removing 3 scrolls and opening one seal to reveal 2 glowing orbs, Kushina placed each on a seal on the remaining scrolls. Before the coffin of Hashirama and Mito Senju started to emerge from the earth, both scrolls started to glow. What the brother? Where am I and what's going on? Hashirama blinked as the lids fell off. With an angry tone, Tobirama pointed to the seal on Naruto's head and said, brother, send chakra into that seal and watch his memories before doing the same to her. You as well, Mito, you need to know what the fuck is going on. Just as Hiruzen, Iruka, and Kakashi had returned to the Naruto apartment's front door, water, trees, and chains erupted out of the building, essentially demolishing the walls. As he and the other two were carried away, Kakashi said, goodbye my love. He looked at the book he was holding. As trees exploded out of the ground, destroying the roads, water started to pour in through broken windows, and roofs were torn off by chakra chains. The entire village started to tremble and people started to feel afraid. However, Mito, Hashirama, and Tobirama shushed away, holding the 2 teenagers in a protective and affectionate group hug, so Naruto and Kushina were unaware of any of this. A door clicked shut a few moments after Naruto woke up and felt warmth leave his body. He sat up slowly and rubbed his head in contemplation as he opened his eyes to find himself in a bedroom he didn't recognize. Where am I? The last thing I remember was being hugged by everyone, and did I pass out? He asked himself. Naruto scowled as he rose from his bed, approached the door slowly, and opened it. He appeared perplexed to discover that he was in a lengthy hallway with multiple doors. After glancing left and right a few times, Naruto noticed a shadow move slightly down the corridor and started to move in that direction. He thought, what the hell? As he emerged from what seemed to be a cave after several minutes of walking down the hallway and saw a number of odd-looking stone buildings. Naruto tensed as he heard footsteps approaching him. He quickly ran back into the tunnel hallway and waited until he saw a figure step in front of the entrance. After a short while, he said, you can come out, boy, I know you're there. Despite his scowl, Naruto walked out of the doorway and noticed a man with brown eyes and hair standing there. My name is Apollo. Who are you and how did you get here? The man asked. Naruto replied, my name is Naruto and I don't know how I got here. This is going to sound crazy, but a couple of my dead relatives were brought back to life, and when they hugged me I passed out and woke up here. Where am I? This doesn't look anything like Konoha. Why were you hiding in the tunnels? Apollo asked, maintaining eye contact with Naruto. Naruto replied, what would you do if you woke up alone in a strange place and had no idea how you got there? Apollo grinned and pointed to the path that led up the side of the mountain where the cave he had come from. Probably the same thing you did. I don't know how you got here, boy, but you are going to have to come with me to see the court. If your claim is true, then it is there you will get your answers, or if your claim is false, where you will be punished. Come. After taking a nervous look around, Naruto grudgingly followed Apollo's instructions. Apollo raised an eyebrow at Naruto as they continued their ascent up the mountain trail. It was not long before they arrived at the summit of the mountain, where a massive white structure with white circular columns stood. Naruto gazed at the structure in wonder, and Apollo greeted him with the words, welcome to the court of Olympus. With a perplexed expression, Naruto uttered, "I've never heard of Olympus." Apollo added, "In any case, we have to appear in court. I have also never heard of Konoha." Apollo put his hand on Naruto's shoulder and told him to calm down when he started to fidget. Naruto, nothing bad will happen to you if you are sincere. As he walked alongside Apollo, who was wearing a smile of amusement, Naruto relaxed and nodded. When Naruto saw this, he questioned, "What's so funny?" Apollo replied, "Just thinking how many people would be honored to be able to walk beside me as an equal like you are." Apollo said, "Don't worry about it." As Naruto appeared perplexed, "Just be respectful and keep quiet until you are allowed to speak, okay?" Naruto nods and observes that they have entered a building with no roof, allowing the sky above to be seen. As they walked in, Naruto heard someone speaking a language he didn't understand, but it soon stopped talking. When Naruto saw multiple figures sitting in a U-shape around an open courtyard, his eyes widened, and Apollo uttered the words, "Hello, your lord and ladyships." "Hello, Apollo," said a white-haired man in the center of the U. "Why is he here, and who is this that you brought with you?" "This is Naruto," Apollo said, placing his hand on his shoulder. "On my way here, I came across him at the entrance to the Caves of Rest. I believe Hades may have had a minor influence on his appearance, even though he seems lost and perplexed about how he got here. He says that before he passed out from the shock and excitement and woke up here, some of his relatives were brought back to life and were embracing him to celebrate their comeback. He says he is from Konoha, but he doesn't seem to know anything about us or this place. Even after I gave him my name, he appeared to have no idea what I meant when I said that many people would feel honored to walk beside me as an equal." "Have you heard of me, boy?" said the white-haired man. With a perplexed expression, Naruto said, "No, sir." The people seated began to murmur, so Naruto turned to face Apollo and muttered, "What are they saying? I'm unable to comprehend them." "It is a language that is only known here," Apollo said, his eyes widening a little. "You're not supposed to know, simply exercise patience." Naruto scowled but started to glance around when a woman's voice broke through the background noise and said, "I brought him here." The room fell silent. As he attempted to approach, Naruto said, "Kushina." Everyone, including Apollo and Naruto, turned to watch a red-haired girl with green eyes approach. "Naruto, please be silent and listen to everything I have to say," Kushina said, giving Naruto a brief, sorrowful smile. "There are some things I haven't told you the whole truth about, but if you'll allow me to explain, I'll tell you and everyone else the truth." She put her hand on Naruto's cheek and said, "Please be patient with me." Naruto's eyes briefly went white, and he replied, "Sure." Zeus said, "Who are you and how did you get here?" After Kushina nodded, "You brought this boy here, but why?" After giving Naruto another glance, Kushina inhaled and uttered, "Hello, Uncle Zeus. Hades and Aphrodite are my parents. Shinigami is my name." The room erupted in gasps, and Naruto's eyes widened before he exclaimed, "What?" This caused everyone to turn and stare at him. Kushina breathed a sigh of relief and, "Naruto, you know that the day you were born that your father, Minato Namikaze, summoned the god of death to your world to stop the Kyuubi. What is the name of the god of death in your world?" With a frown, Naruto uttered the words, "Shinigami." Kushina nods and explains, "My grandfather Kronos abducted me when I was a young girl and sent me into limbo, a place between life and death. I was released from that prison by your father. I showed up, heard your parents' request, and witnessed them protecting you, their newborn son, from the Kyuubi that attempted to kill you by piercing both of you with its paw. I don't know how or why your world holds the beliefs that it is, but I am not the cause of your parents' deaths. I did honor their selfless sacrifice by binding the Kyuubi inside of you, but ever since that day, I have protected you from the Kyuubi's harmful influence." The others in the room widened their eyes as she said, "I watched you grow up and endure the life of pain and suffering you had. A fate worse than Medusa." With a scowl, Naruto uttered, "But why did I lie to you when I revealed myself to you?" Asked the now-named Shinigami. "I couldn't risk your mind escaping the spell I cast on you, which is why I claimed to be your twin sister and did the other things, like comforting and helping you. If it had, when I brought you from your world to this one, you would have spent all of eternity stuck in limbo." With a demanding tone, Zeus asked, "If you are who you claim you are, then why did you bring this boy here, Shinigami?" Shinigami turned and remarked, "Because Kronos, who has managed to get out, created the world in which he lives. He was able to kidnap me. Because of it I wouldn't have spent those years in limbo if I hadn't resisted him when he abducted me. Since I came out, I've mentioned the Kyuubi multiple times. Kronos is the father of Kyuubi." As everyone's eyes widened, a woman asked, "Are you sure, Shinigami?" "Indeed, Aunt Athena," Shinigami said, "I'm positive the Kyuubi is one of 9 creatures known as the Biju in the Naruto universe. The humans of that world refer to the man who created them as the Six Realm Sage. Indeed, He was Kronos. I think Kronos abducted me in the first place because he was planning to use the people of that world to build an army and destroy you. Kushi, I mean Shinny, fuck it, I don't know what to call you, said Naruto. Looking perplexed. Does being a Shinigami imply that you are a god or something? Shinigami was the only one who didn't perspire, stating, yes, I am, as are the others in this room. If you're a goddess, who exactly would your parents be? Naruto said in a trembling voice as his eyes widened and he turned pale. Shinigami stated, my mother is Aphrodite, goddess of love, and my father is Hades, god of the underworld. Shit, I'm dead, Naruto said. Going pale, he dropped to his knees and said, I fucked the god of death's daughter. A woman with red hair asked, did you and this mortal really? As several eyes widened and turned to Shinigami, who flushed. Mother, don't start, Shinigami said. She glared at her mother, saying, you would be honored to have me be with him if you saw what he went through because of Kyuubi and came out as pure as he has hell. You might even try and steal him for yourself. The newly discovered Aphrodite replied, really now, daughter, I think that sounds like a great idea. What do you say, Zeus? How about we take a look at this mortal's life and see what world Kronos has created and why Shinigami believes that Kronos created it to destroy us? Very well, Apollo, Zeus said before being knocked unconscious. Naruto blinked. Naruto was on the floor of the Olympus court. When he opened his eyes once more, he glanced to his left and right and saw all of the previous figures staring at Naruto when Zeus exclaimed, Naruto. With a gulp, Naruto got to his feet and said, yes. Zeus stated, we have viewed your life and have saw that Shinigami was right about you. If you were not already with my daughter, I would, Aphrodite uttered. Aphrodite, Zeus uttered in a foreboding tone. Aphrodite responded by saying, we also believe that she is right about why she was originally kidnapped by Kronos. Before you were told the truth about who she was, you appeared to care for her deeply. Do you still feel the same way? After blinking briefly, Naruto looked down and uttered the words, I'm hurt that she didn't tell me the truth. I am also a little mad at her, but she did it to protect me, so I guess I can forgive her. I do care for her. Do you still love her though? Inquired Aphrodite. After biting his lip, Naruto replied, yes. Would you do anything for her? Zeus asked after Aphrodite gave him a little smile. Naruto turned to Zeus and said, I'd die for her since she's entered my life. I can honestly say that I have been happy and know what it feels to be loved. That is something I'll cherish always. Why? Zeus stated, Kronos, the man who kidnapped Shinigami, originally is also the father of most of us. Many years ago we joined together to defeat him and sealed him away, but he found a way to escape. From what we learned from Shinigami while you were out, it is impossible for us to go to your world because to do so we would have to travel between the world of the living and the dead. The living cannot pass through limbo and come out alive. They either have to return the way they came in or be dead. After blinking repeatedly, Naruto uttered the words, wait, if she brought me here, how am I alive? With each god turning away, Naruto questioned, I am alive, right? Zeus replied, yes, you are alive, but we will not reveal the secret of how Shinigami got you here. She did that is all you need to worry about anyways. The reason I am telling you that we are unable to go to your world is we would like to give you a quest and ask you to work on our behalf in your world. With a sideways tilt of his head, Naruto asked, what do you mean? Zeus replied, what I mean is that we would like for you to return to your world and stop our father. With wide eyes, Naruto exclaimed, you want me to what? When the sky above them changed, Naruto looked up and went wide-eyed, seeing his father before he saw his birth and then the masked man attacking his parents. Zeus put his pinky in his ear and said, I think he's related to brother with lunges like those. He then looked at a man next to him before turning back to face Naruto and saying, watch this. According to Zeus, that man in the mask there is in fact Kronos. He has changed his looks, but by looking at your memories and after questioning Kyuubi, we have learned that Kyuubi and the rest of his sibling took most of Kronos' power before banishing back to our world. That was why he kidnapped Shinigami. He needed her to get back to your world in order to recover his powers that was stolen. What does this have to do with me? Scowled Naruto. Zeus stated, if Kronos is able to recover his powers from the Biju, then he will be able to take over your world and bring his army here to this world where countless lives will be lost in a battle that could ultimately destroy both worlds. What we would like for you to do is stop him. But how can I hope to stop him? Inquired Naruto. Zeus stated, if you accept our quest, then we will train you before returning you to your world. You said that you would die for Shinigami. We ask, are you willing to fight to defend her? Because if Kronos gains his powers again, he will bring his army here and she will have to fight against him, as we will also, and she could possibly be hurt or killed. So were your words. He halted when he noticed water circling and leaping off the ground on Naruto's right side, while lightning appeared to be leaping off his left hand as the wind blew swiftly around Naruto's body, rustling his clothes and hair. The ground beneath his feet started to crack with his fist clenched. Naruto uttered the words, I will never let him or anyone hurt her. A lot of eyes widen and Zeus says, it appears that all the years of absorbing some of Kronos' power from Kyuubi has given you powers similar to ours, so do you accept our offer to train you and you become our champion in your world? Yes, Naruto replied. What say you brother about your daughter's choice? Zeus asked, nodding. A voice behind Naruto said, if he succeeds in stopping Kronos then I give him permission to be with my daughter, should he fail though I will throw his soul into the lake of fire after having my dogs devour his balls. The next sound was Shinigami's voice, Daddy, leave my Naruto-kun alone. This was followed by a slap and a thud. Naruto swiftly turned around and was ready to fight when he noticed Shinigami standing there completely unharmed and her father now in the wall, spider web cracks appearing where he struck. A whistle was heard and Aphrodite replied, impressive distance dear, I haven't seen Hades get knocked that far back then when I told my husband that I was pregnant with you and Hades was the father. With a scowl, Shinigami remarked, you are such a slut mother. I have a healthy appreciation for men, daughter, Aphrodite said with a shrug, adding, tell me, daughter, what are you going to do when your chosen here attracts the attention of other women? Naruto replied, I'm not going to care about anyone but Shinigami. Shinigami approached Naruto, put her hand on his shoulder, and said, Naruto-kun, I not only want you to but I am ordering you to fuck every girl you can. Everyone else gave Naruto amused knowing looks. As everyone's eyes widened, Naruto exclaimed, why would you tell me that? Shinigami grinned and replied, simple, because the only reason my father over there is normally unable to have children. The only reason he had me with mom is because my mother's so fertile she could get pregnant off of a 3-day-old handjob. I don't know if I can have kids because of my powers. I know you want a family, so I want you to fuck any and every woman you can and have as many children as you can with them. I plan to spend eternity with you when you die unless the others here decide to make you a god. I plan to keep bringing you back to life over and over again so we could be together. Zeus remarked, you can't do that. Shinigami responded, really? Last time I checked your law said anyone who makes a deal with a god is bound to that deal forever until the god releases them. When Naruto father summoned me from limbo, the cost of the deal, he believed he was making a soul since he and his wife both died before their souls could be collected. The only soul that I could collect is Naruto's, meaning that he belongs to me to do with as I please, and since I love him I am going to make sure we are together forever unless of course you want to release my stepmom from the underworld. According to Aphrodite, she has you, Zeus. As Zeus put it, very well, the boy's soul is yours. With a sparkle in her eyes, Shinigami turned to face Hades, who had managed to pull himself away from the wall, and said, you hear that daddy, you can't touch him or his balls. They're mine. She is definitely your daughter, Hades said, giving Aphrodite a fierce look. Naruto remarked, so does that mean you can't hurt me for taking her cherry? As Aphrodite giggled at the glare. As his hair burst into flames and he screamed, Die! Hades' eyes widened before he screamed, you slept with my daughter. He then charged at Naruto, only to scream in agony as he collapsed to the ground while clutching his nuts. As Shinigami put it, leave my man alone, daddy. With a wince from each of the male gods, Athena remarked, I don't think a miracle will happen twice for Hades having kids. Shinigami added, that just means he gets to make it up with all the grandchildren I plan for Naruto-kun to produce. Naruto said, I don't know, are you sure that, while sheepishly rubbing the back of his head. Mom, since I haven't been here for Mother's Day or your birthday all these years, he's all yours for the next month, Shinigami said, covering Naruto's mouth with her hand. When Naruto's eyes widened, Aphrodite remarked, but what about my husband? Shinigami stated, he's going to be too busy in his forges making Naruto-kun's new weapons and cloths. I don't want him back until he has the stamina of a demigod and the knowledge to use it. After that everyone can begin to train him to be their champion, but I'm warning you, any of you injure his manhood and you'll join my father as impotent. While the other men grabbed their nuts, Naruto shivered. Naruto and Aphrodite vanished before anyone could blink, and Athena remarked, you do realize that you may lose Naruto to your mother now, don't you? Shinigami stated, if I do then he's not worth the faith and trust I have in him. If however after she's done with him and he still loves me, then I know there is no one in the universe who will be able to steal his heart from me. After all, if the goddess of love can't steal him, who can? I guess you're right. Welcome home, niece, Athena said. With a smile on her face, Shinigami said, Aunt Athena, take me as your student. With a blink, Athena asked, why ask me to take you as a student? Shinigami looked sorrowful for a moment and replied, what good is having the power to make a difference if you don't have the skills or knowledge to do so? I had to sit back and be helpless while you went through hell. I never want to feel so powerless as I did again. As she stood up, Athena nodded and said, then come with me. Zeus turned to face Hades and remarked, you dead man. Poseidon moaned as Hades, still clutching his balls, said, "Walk it off, man, walk it off." Glancing up at his brother, Hades uttered the words, "Fuck you." Poseidon replied, "You couldn't even if you wanted to, and I'm straight." Poseidon and Zeus laughed when Hades gave him the bird and then rolled over in agony. It was a sunny day in Konoha, with birds chirping and no clouds in the sky until ominous clouds started to gather over the village. Flashes of lightning emerged from the expanding cloud, and there was a rumble. The village was hit by strong winds that blew up dust and a few dresses, exposing some women's underwear, if they were wearing it who knew that there were so many commandos in a shinobi village. Many people were taking notice of all of this and were worriedly gazing up at the sky. Then, for a few seconds, a vortex started to descend from the cloud toward the Hokage monument before returning to the sky. The sky soon cleared, and the unexpected freak storm vanished completely. A number of ninja arrived on top of the monument and were startled to see a figure standing with his back to them, surveying the village. The Sandaime Hokage, who had come with Anbu and a number of ninja, asked, "Who are you? What is the date today?" The figure asked with a bewildered tone. The Sandaime blinked and inquired, "What do you mean?" Many people's eyes widened as the figure turned, and the Sandaime exclaimed in a startled tone, "Naruto, is that you?" Naruto was now more than 6 feet 1. In addition to a golden silk shirt and golden silk pants, he had 2 golden bands around his wrist. "What is today's date, Gigi?" asked Naruto with a smile. "Today is the 21st of March. Why?" scowled Hiruzen. "Just wanting to know what day it was so I know if I missed team placements," Naruto said, his lips pursed. Hiruzen replied, "No, but what happened to you? Why are you using a henge?" Snorts Naruto as he says, "This isn't a henge, this is what I look like. Now try and dispel it if you think I'm lying." Like many others, Hiruzen bit his lip and flared his chakra, but nothing happened. "If you really look like that, then what happened to you?" Hiruzen asked. "Who were my parents?" asked Naruto. Hiruzen remarked, "I don't have time for your questions, Naruto. Why do you?" as everyone blinked. "Then I guess I should get going. If you don't have time for me, then I have better things to do. CYA. Naruto was lifted off the ground by the rapidly forming water beneath him, and everyone was shocked as he was swiftly carried away. After scowling, Hiruzen commanded, "Find Naruto and bring him to my office. Go." Hearing Hiruzen's tone and the orders, all of the ninja hurried away. As he vanished in a whirlpool of leaves, Hiruzen wondered, "What has happened to you, Naruto?" as he floated into the village below. After swiftly descending into the village, Naruto started to look around and reflected, "I miss Olympus." He disregarded the stares he was receiving as he moved through the village. Shortly after, a ninja stepped in front of Naruto and exclaimed, "Naruto Uzumaki, the Hokage, hey." Naruto kept his hands in his pockets as he was abruptly sucked into the ground up to his neck. The Hokage said he didn't have time for me, so if he wants to see me then he can come get me himself, Naruto said. Looking down at the ninja he recognized as an ANBU, as he resumed his walk while a number of civilians were muttering and staring at him with wide eyes. 3 more Anbu then attempted to seize Naruto, but as they did, all of their hands went through his body, causing him to vanish. A moment later, Naruto's voice could be heard from atop a building, saying, "You know, you might want to work on your speed. You all look like you were standing still." One of the civilians asked, "How did he do that?" A Chunin who witnessed the incident said, in a startled and somewhat frightened tone, "After image he moved so fast that his movements weren't noticed until he stopped." While strolling through the village, Naruto was bumped into by someone who had come backwards from a store. The voice of a woman said, "Oh sorry, it's okay, Ino," Naruto said, glancing at the blonde girl in front of him. "Who are you?" Ino Yamanaka asked in awe as she blinked and her eyes widened. With a chuckle, Naruto remarked, "You making a delivery for your shop?" "Yes, Ino said, glancing at her hands, which held a bouquet of flowers, and pondered, "Who is this guy and why haven't I seen him before?" Naruto replied, "Well, how about letting me go with you and we can go get some tea or something to eat together and we can talk since you seem to want to know who I am." With a flush, Ino asked, "Are you asking me out?" Naruto replied, "A date is something 2 people have who have romantic interest in each other. You don't seem to even know who I am yet, so besides my physical appearance you don't know anything to have a romantic interest in me. Let's just start with having a little get to know and go from there. What do you say? Do me the honor of being my guest for lunch." Ino grinned and said, Sure." When an Anbu suddenly materialized behind Naruto, he was captured by water and then flew away. Both Naruto and Ino stared in disbelief, and Naruto offered his arm and remarked, "I think this Anbu needs more training if he can't even control his own jutsu, shall we?" With a flush, Ino grabbed Naruto's arm and said, "Lead the way." Ignoring the Anbu attempting to escape the water prison 30 feet away, Ino started to move. Ino blushed even more when many onlookers remarked that they appeared to be a couple. Naruto remarked, "Cute, not as cute as Shinigami but still cute, but hey, Ino just a mortal and I've slept with goddesses." After dropping off the flowers, Ino and Naruto entered a small dango stand, where he pulled out a stool for Ino and sat across from him. Ino then asked, "So who are you exactly and how do you know me?" After a few other ninja and Anbu appeared and then vanished. With a wry smile, Naruto remarked, "You still haven't figured it out, have you?" Ino look at my face and hair and try to compare it to the people you know. Ino narrowed her eyes and appeared more perplexed. After a short while, she opened her eyes wide and exclaimed, "Naruto." With wide eyes, everyone in the stand turned to face Ino, and Naruto responded, "Yeep." With a startled expression, Ino asked, "What happened to you? I mean, did you know that the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha was actually the great-grandson of Hashirama Senju and that he really didn't die the way the history books said he did?" Naruto said, a little louder than usual but not so loud that everyone in the room could hear him. With a perplexed expression, Ino asked, "What do you mean?" Naruto stated, "The Yondaime did die defeating the Kyuubi, but he used his Mokuton bloodline to banish the Kyuubi away like the Shoden did when he fought Madara Uchiha all those years ago. He died from the Kyuubi running its paw through his and the Yondaime's wife's chest at the last second before it was banished away when it tried to kill their newborn son." As rumors began to circulate through the stand, someone said, "That's not true, demon." While turning, Naruto uttered the words, "Really, Mokuton, bitch slap." Then, as the guy screamed, wood erupted from the ground in front of him, forming a hand that bitch slapped him across both cheeks, knocking him to the ground. Everyone's eyes widened and Naruto said, "I'm the great-great-grandson of the Shoden Hokage and the son of the Yondaime Hokage. Konoha was weakened after the Kyuubi appeared, so my father and the Sandaime made a plan to make it appear Konoha had sealed the Kyuubi away and could release it on any village that tried to attack us while we were weakened. He also placed a genjutsu seal on me to try and fool his enemies because Iwa would try and kill me if they found out I was my father's son, and Kumo once tried to kidnap my mother for her bloodline, and so if my hair started to turn out like my mother's then they would have known I really was an Uzumaki and not just some random orphan named Uzumaki. By giving me my mother's clan name and making me look like a weak version of my father, then I would be able to hide in plain sight, and by saying that I was the Jinchuriki holding the Kyuubi, the Sandaime made it where everyone in the village could keep an eye on me so that any assassination attempts or kidnapping attempts made on me could be stopped. Now if you will excuse me, but I'm not hungry, Ino, but feel free to have lunch on me," as he threw some cash on the table, and quickly got up and left the stand. There were rumblings in the stand, and Ino glanced between Naruto's retreating back and the spectators before grabbing the cash from the table and running after him. As he walked with his hands in his pockets, Naruto heard Ino yell, "Wait. I'm trying to watch my weight so I'm not hungry right now," Ino said as Naruto paused and turned to face the back. She offered Naruto the money back, saying, "Here. Keep it, Ino, and use it to make yourself relax." Naruto said with a smile, "You are a lovely young woman who should not overstress herself or she will start to wrinkle too soon." Retching, Ino remarked, "You think I'm beautiful? I am aware that you are Ino." Naruto said, "Each woman has her own unique beauty like flowers. Each one is distinct and has a special quality." Red in the face, Ino asked, "What happened to you? How did you become so? Why ruin the mystery for you when you could try to get to know me and find out the secrets yourself?" Naruto said, putting a finger to her lips to silence her. "Sometimes the journey is more valuable than the final destination." Following Ino's blush, Naruto took his finger off her lips, put it beneath her chin, turned it up slightly, and said in a sensual voice, "So would like the prize now or at the end of the journey?" After looking into Naruto's eyes and losing herself in them, Ino felt pressure on her lips as Naruto gave her a gentle kiss, causing her eyes to widen before closing. When Ino felt Naruto pull away during their kiss, she opened her eyes to find him gone. She then looked to her left and right before feeling something in her hands. Looking down, she saw a red rose, blushed, and sniffed the flower, wondering, "Who are you really, Naruto?" Several women had stars in their eyes as they whispered about what they had witnessed. 4 hours later, the Sandaime said, "Let me get this straight," after glancing at a number of ninja who appeared to be very exhausted, soaked wet, or covered in dirt. "You're telling me that Naruto Uzumaki has accelerated to the point where he leaves after seeing images. He has so much stamina that you can't keep up with him when he doesn't even appear to be perspiring. And he has somehow become so skilled at manipulating water and earth that he could trap you in water prisons or pull you into the ground without even using hand signs. Is that correct?" The Sandaime scowled as multiple HAI. Voices could be heard, and a Chunin questioned, "Are we certain that he is indeed Naruto Uzumaki, sir? What if someone is deceiving us with a henge?" The Sandaime rubbed the bridge of his nose and remarked, "If it isn't Naruto, then how is it that none of us was able to see through the genjutsu or able to break it? What about the rumors that are circulating?" A voice from the rear of the room asked. They claim that Naruto is actually the son of the Yondaimes. The Sandaime yelled, "What did you say?" as he leapt to his feet. The key made everyone start to tremble. According to Hiruzen, what rumors? The Sandaime scowled and gazed thoughtfully as an Enbu recounted what Naruto had said and done at the stand. A bird then broke through the window and landed on the desk in front of the Sandaime, holding a scroll on its leg. Unaware of it, Hiruzen scowled but took the scroll and read. "Gigi, verify the rumors or I'll depart, taking with me not only the Mokuton lineage but also the Hiraishin secret, and move to Kumo, Suna, or Iwa. I decided to use the same jutsu that my father used to summon the Shinigami, and we came to an agreement. I would give the Kyuubi soul in exchange for a chance to fight the Yondaime in an I Quit match. The only way to win was to have your enemy forfeit, which I would never do. The winner would be allowed to live, and the loser would stay with the Shinigami and Kyuubi." All parties agreed, and my father drugged the fight for as long as he could in order to spend time with me and teach me things. He told me that Orochimaru used Nawaki Senju sperm on a prisoner named Suna Kunoichi, and that she gave birth to Dad and died, so my claim to be the Shoden's great-great-grandson is real. You would be amazed at what you can do in 3 years, and the use of Kage Bunshin, by the way. Why don't you use those to do paperwork? I wonder if Asuma would look at your desk the same if he knew he was conceived on it, or how much other villages would pay to know how to identify my godfather's informant no matter where they are. In any case, that's your decision. Verify the rumors I spread about the Kyuubi never being in me and that it was all an act to protect Konoha while it was weakened, or bid farewell to not only one of Konoha's founding bloodlines but also, who knows, how many jutsu and Konoha secrets. It seems like I have no choice." Hiruzen scowled. The rumors are accurate. In actuality, Naruto is the Shoden Hokage's great-great-grandson and the Yondaime's son. When Mizuki tricked him into stealing the Forbidden Scroll, I suppose he realized the truth. I had hoped to keep that secret longer until I was certain he could defend himself, get away from me. All of the ninja departed, but before the day was over, the villagers would be aware of the truth. That Naruto was actually related to 3 Hokage and that the Kyuubi had never been sealed away. Naruto woke up the following morning, found himself in bed, and grinned as he recalled what had happened the previous evening. What happened last night? Oh yeah. The conversation in the room ceased as Naruto entered a bar just as it was getting dark. Several ninja gave him various looks before Naruto's eyes fell on a group of them and he exclaimed, "Ah, there you all are. I apologize for playing a practical joke on you all earlier, but I needed the Sandaime to realize that I was capable of defending myself, and it was time to take off the seals my father had put on me until I made Junin. He was not going to tell anyone who I really was. By then, he probably would have died, and I'm not sure who knew the truth." "How did you get so fast that you left after images?" asked one of the Chunins Naruto was observing. "Dad put weight and restriction seals on me before he passed away, and when I removed them, it revealed my actual speed, which you witnessed yesterday," Naruto remarked. "With them on, I was barely able to outrun you all, so now that they're off, I'm much faster anyway, since I feel like I owe you all for what I did. How about you all give me a drink? I suppose you could say that my ability to pull practical jokes has actually been better training for me than the academy was." "1 round for everyone in the bar, bartender." The bartender asked, "Can you pay for it, kid?" as everyone's eyes widened. "Yeah," Naruto said, taking a whole wad of cash out of his pocket. "I have more money than I will ever need." When they saw the money in Naruto's hand, everyone's eyes widened, and one woman exclaimed, "Where the hell did you get that kind of money? Rob a bank?" "No," Naruto said. "After a month of sleeping with a girl I really liked, a couple of her sisters wanted a chance with me. She told her attractive and seductive mother about me, and she decided to try her hand at taming a demon. I ended up having sex with this guy's nieces, wife, daughter, sister-in-law, and a few of his concubines. He made the decision that he wanted me gone, but he made a deal because he knew that if he hurt me, the women in his life would kill him in order to preserve their family name. He gives me an S-rank salary each month as long as I don't tell who he or his ladies are. I avoid them. His daughter kicked him in the nuts when he tried to kill me after learning that I deflowered her, so the poor bastard will never have children again," he said in a firm voice. A purple-haired woman said, "Bullshit," as everyone's eyes widened. "You're not that good at gaki." With a glance in her direction, Naruto said, "Really care to make a wager?" "You shouldn't write checks because your ass can't cash gaki," the woman said. "Unlike some civilians who have never been fucked by a shinobi, I am a unique Junin." "The name Naruto and you are," Naruto uttered. She said, "Anko, well, let me tell you what, Anko-chan," Naruto said, "how about I demonstrate my excellence by having you call out the name of Aphrodite in adoration each time I give you an orgasm rather than my name or Kami's name?" With a perplexed expression, Anko exclaimed, "Who the hell is Aphrodite?" "Aphrodite is the goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, and reproduction," Naruto stated. "I'll give you a night of pleasure that no mortal man you currently have or will ever have by my side can match if you agree to shout praise to her." With a sparkle in her eye, Anko uttered, "And if you fail?" Naruto replied, "I won't fail, so I'll let you choose what you want if I don't live up to my claim." With a sly smile, Anko remarked, "Pay for all the dango I can eat and sake I can drink for a year and you're on." Ignoring the muttering of the patrons, Naruto stepped forward and placed his hand on Anko's back, causing her to gasp and groan. He then said, "Then let's head to your place so you can start your new devotion to Aphrodite." He assisted her in leaving the bar. A wad of cash and a note that read, "Keep the change," taped it, were brought into the bar by a kunai. Finish the flashback as Naruto heard Anko whisper, "Aphrodite," while she slept. He laughed to himself. Naruto smirked and remarked, "Aphrodite, goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, and procreation." Ignoring the glances he was receiving from a few women in the hallway as he passed Anko's place after sneaking out and getting dressed, he ignored the women's blushes and the whispers that came after him, refusing to take his eyes off the center of the hall. If you praise her like Anko did, she might just bless you or your lovers with a night of pleasure you'll never be able to forget. With a glow about her that made many women stare at her with envy, Anko left her apartment 30 minutes later and continued to say, "Aphrodite," with every limping step. Following his departure from Anko's place, Naruto went to his apartment, showered, changed into a matching outfit, and then left. "Didn't you guys learn yesterday? But since I'm in a good mood and I can tell you have a beautiful body under those cloths, I guess I'll humor you by hearing what you want," Naruto said, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed and a chuckle on his face, as an Anbu appeared in front of him after he had left his apartment. He said, "Hokage-sama would like to see you in the council chambers." The Anbu was wearing a Neko mask. Naruto stated, "I really only listen to one council, and it's not a mortal one. However, I would be happy to make fun of the council if a lovely woman like you would be so kind as to accompany me without that mask. If not, I will have to say no." "It's an order from Hokage-sama," Neko stated, "and since I haven't passed the real genin test, I'm not officially a ninja of Konoha yet," Naruto stated. "I have the right to leave those gates and never come back without being deemed a missing nin if I don't pass the test with my team. Would you rather be my escort and give me the privilege of spending a few minutes in your beauty? Or do you really want to have to go back and tell the Sandame and the council that you were unable to convince me to come?" Naruto's amused expression deepened when he noticed Neko's tense body as she considered her response. She sighed and said, "Very well, but you can't tell anyone my identity." "Obviously not, Neko-chan," Naruto remarked, "to ensure that only I know who you are. You are welcome to come up to my apartment and take off your mask and cloak." Neko vanished in a whirl of leaves, saying, "No, I'll be back shortly." A few minutes after Naruto shrugged and turned to leave, a woman with long purple hair and grayish-black eyes appeared, asking, "So are you ready to go see the Hokage?" "Of course, kitten." Naruto offered his arm. According to the woman, "My name is Yugo." Naruto replied, "Of course, Yugo-chan, your boyfriend must be a very happy man." Naruto remarked, "I have senses compared to an Inuzuka." As Yugo stiffened, "I smell a man's scent coming from your body. Isn't that him, by the way?" When Yugo heard Naruto's words, her face flushed, and then she turned pale when she noticed her boyfriend standing there, staring between Naruto and her. "You must be the Yugo boyfriend she was just telling me about," Naruto remarked. "You are truly fortunate to have such a lovely and compassionate woman in your life." "I guess I'm Hayate and you are," the man said. Naruto said, "After all my years of playing tricks on the village's ninja, Yugo was wise enough to just walk and chat with me when the Hokage asked her to accompany me to see him in the council. This way, I wouldn't have an excuse to flee and commit more mischief. I hope you and Hayate have a great day, and I appreciate your company." Yugo he vanished, saying, "I'll go see what the Hokage wanted eventually." Yugo snarled and uttered the words, "Damn it." With a laugh, Hayate said, "Slow down, my tiny kitten." He flew in the direction of the Hokage tower. I suppose he chose to pull one final prank before departing. According to Yugo, he's so as Hayate put it, frustrating. "Yes," Yugo replied. "Congratulation, Yugo and Hayate, I knew you both loved each other, and to think you would pop the question like that, congratulations." Naruto then popped up between them and vanished once more. Both Yugo and Hayate froze when they heard Naruto's words, saw the expressions on everyone's faces, and simultaneously thought, fuck, gossip. They noticed that people were starting to point and whisper at the couple. Do you know what you get when you have a pranking genius, a cunning fox, a few screwy gods, a shitload of energy, and an entire unsuspecting world of victims? Hey, I'm a kid in a candy store on a sure high with no parental supervision, Naruto thought, laughing to himself as he paused to observe what was happening with Yugo and Hayate. Beware of my anger, haha, haha, haha. Following his own private joke, Naruto calmed down and looked around before vanishing from view, thinking, should I go deal with them? Might as well. I've got to start getting serious. The Hokage was seated in the council chamber a short while later, and everyone from the council's 3 divisions was there. One of the civilians asked, where is that Anbu you sent to fetch the boy? Right now, trying to stop the rumors going around about a certain couple, a voice said as the Sandame sighed and opened his mouth to speak. As everyone's eyes widened and they started to scan the room, Hiyashi Hyuga, the leader of the Hyuga clan, exclaimed, who's there? Show yourself. The individual said, here you guys called me and you can't even remember who you summoned. Guess that means I can leave, huh? It was said by the Sandame. Naruto wait, everyone's eyes widened when Naruto suddenly materialized next to the Sandame. Naruto said, what's up, buddy? In a stoner voice. According to a civilian, how did you do that? Naruto raised his eyebrows. From this moment on you are officially recognized as nobody number 1. Thank you for playing our game today. Come back and try your luck next time. The Sandame said, Naruto, please stop antagonizing the council, as the now nobody number 1 face turned red and a number of people snickered or gave amused looks. Naruto replied, and why should I do that? I mean, with the war coming, they're all going to die anyways. Everybody's eyes widened, and Danzo, the leader of Root and one of the council's elders, exclaimed, what war? Naruto said, the war Shinigami took me away to train for. There is a reason I look a lot older now than I did a few days ago. That cocky bullshit story about dad placing a genjutsu seal on me was just to settle civilian unrest and to get people to stop thinking about the Kyuubi for a while. Of course I could always just summon him back to this realm with the summoning contract Shinigami gave me and have the furball do my bidding if I get pissed off and decide that Konoha isn't as important as the lives of every single man, woman, and child in the world that is currently in danger when the war starts. Kyuubi would love another shot at this place, and since Shinigami won't help Konoha anymore unless I ask, then you're all fucked since Konoha doesn't have any seal masters good enough to seal the furball away again. Sure, Jiraiya might be able to, but since he's too busy peeking on women and writing his books he's almost never here, and Kyuubi can just wait until he's gone before leveling this place. Hiruzen remarked, that's enough Naruto, why do you act like you wouldn't care if Konoha was destroyed? As the entire room went white. Naruto stated, maybe it's the fact that I know too many of Konoha dirty little secrets, like who was funding Orochimaru experiments on the civilians of Konoha, or the real reason Itachi killed his clan, among lots of other things. Shinigami wanted me to realize that human life in general was more important than the lives of a single corrupt village when there is a war coming that will most likely kill 80% of the humans in the world, if not more. Konoha pissed off a lot of powerful figures on the other side, and they're more than willing to sit back and let Konoha get wiped off the map than save you. The only reason I haven't left the village yet to start preparing for the war is because of a small feeling of debt I feel to the few who actually tried to make my life better when I was younger. Of course those debts are very small when compared to all the lies and deception some of those people used on me to make me loyal to them, as he looked at Hiruzen. In an attempt to suppress his sense of guilt, Hiruzen scowled and uttered, what war? Naruto said, a war between the gods and what we call demons. Demons and monsters of all kind are about to be released back onto the world. The time of peace the Six Realms Sage set up is about to expire. Once that happens the world will become an open battlefield again, and the Biju ain't got nothing on some of the things that will be appearing. The time of the hidden villages is about to end. Mortals are going to have to start choosing individually for themselves if they are going to follow a certain god or demon. Families will be split, children will go against their parents, wives against husbands, friends against friends, Biju versus Biju, gods versus gods, gods versus demons. It's going to be total anarchy, a true clash of the titans, and we each will be a part of it. Even the dead won't be able to rest in this war. Can you imagine it, Gigi? You having to face against the Shodem, Naidame, and Yondaime Hokage in a battle of life or death where even if you die the fighting won't end, where you will be forced to become a slave under the banner of the one who killed you, where even your wife will become your enemy. Hiruzen questioned, are you joking, Naruto? Is this a prank or another lie? Because the Sandame's face was as pale as everyone else's. Naruto replied, No lie Gigi, if you doubt me then have Anko brought here. She's already been recruited by one of the goddess Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, and procreation has removed Orochimaru curse seal from her and has now given her a new chance at happiness. She isn't even aware of it yet, but since Aphrodite instructed me to have sex with her I know that is what Aphrodite is after. You said Aphrodite instructed you to have sex with her, a civilian said. Naruto raised both of his arms and said, you see these bracelets? They are not gold as you may first think, they are celestial bronze crafted by the gods themselves. When Dad sealed the furball in me he sold my soul to the Shinigami. With the war coming the debt has been collected and I am now bound to carry out the will of the gods by spreading news about the gods to the people in order to recruit more people to them. I am but an avatar of the gods now. By the way, Orochimaru plans to launch an attack on Konoha during the Chunin exams. Apparently Suna has betrayed your alliance and has joined them. Since Konoha have been taking all the missions from Their feudal lord at reduced prices, they will be joining in on the attack. Suna will be using Their Jinchuriki. Hades, the god of the underworld, wanted me to pass that message. I thought you said the gods weren't going to help us, said Shuza Akamichi. Naruto stated, I also said the gods are going to fight other gods also, remember. Hades doesn't like me because Shinigami is his daughter. His only child. He doesn't like me because Shinigami loves me and we've had sex. He's hoping that by telling about the fact that Konoha going to be attacked by 2 other villages that you will try and stop them before it gets here, where word will reach them about me through Their spies here in the village, and someone will try and kill me. Of course I die, then I will just go back to Shinigami who will give me back my life since she owns my soul, but he figures if I die and come back a few times that someone will try and seal me or kill me with a jutsu like Dad did Kyuubi, which might be able to break the contract Shinigami has on my soul, so when I die I'll go to the underworld where he can torture me for all eternity. Good thing most of the other gods don't like Hades and got my back. What are you all looking at me like that? With a stammer, Hiruzen uttered, you had an affair with Shinigami, a woman. Naruto replied, and a few other goddess. Where do you think bloodlines come from? Gods or goddess having sex with mortals and having children with them. Of course some bloodlines also come from demons doing the same thing also, so you can never be too sure. Danzo responded, do you have any proof to back up your claim? Smirking, Naruto remarked, Gigi, you miss your late wife, right? Of course I do, Naruto, Hiruzen remarked with a frown. Naruto replied, would you be willing to say serve Shinigami and split what's left of your mortal life in half if your wife was revived and given back to you? Hiruzen narrowed his eyes and asked, what do you mean, Naruto? As everyone's eyes widened. Naruto stated, the gods are just like mortals in some ways. If someone who has given you gifts and generous business deals over the years came to you in Their time of need and asked you to do something like kill someone who was taking over Their business, would you not be tempted to aid the person in Their time of need for all they've done for you over the years? You're saying the gods can be bribed? Asked Hiruzen. Naruto stated, gods versus gods. Gigi, the gods will use mortals or even monsters to fight against other gods. All any of us are pawns in a game to them. If they thought you were valuable enough piece that could be used to aid them in some way, they would be willing to listen to request from you or give you gifts. Haven't you all learned with Kyuubi you can't kill what's immortal? Since gods and demons can't truly be killed, only weakened or stopped, it is usually mortals that have to take the brunt of the battles and aftermaths. The gods just are willing to work together a little more than usual when it comes to fighting what we call demons. Naruto, I have a question. When you mention the demons, you keep saying, what we call demons. What do the gods call them? Said Shikaku Nara, the head of the Nara clan and father of Shikamaru Nara. Seems Athena has granted you wisdom to have caught that you want the truth, Naruto remarked with a sly smile. According to Hiruzen, yes, we do. Everyone gasped or was shocked when Naruto uttered the words. The gods are all children of another god who feared his children would rise up against him someday like he did against his father. Because of this, as soon as they were born he took the children and ate them whole. Naruto replied, yeah. Barbaric, he held them prisoner inside his own stomach until his last child whose mother hid him away rose up and cut open his father's belly, freeing his other siblings, and they united against him and cut him into as many small pieces as they could and threw the pieces into the deepest and darkest pit to lock him away. Unfortunately he was able to pull himself back together and began to plot his revenge against his children. He had new children, but this time trained them to hate Their siblings who had become the gods to the world. These younger siblings later rose up like Their elder ones and defeated Their father, sending him away again to some other place in pieces. They then began to do what they wanted regardless of the consequences. Because of this, mortal named them demons. That's right. Kyuubi is in fact a sibling to the gods. Perhaps you heard him by his other name, Inari. As everyone started to recall what they could about Inari and Kyuubi, everyone's eyes almost popped out of their heads, and there were a few whispers. Shikaku then remarked, Why didn't anyone ever make the connection? It's obvious. Naruto said, because mortals live such short lives, and with the way rumors spread and distort, it doesn't take long before the truth to be forgotten and fiction to become common knowledge. Kyuubi will be back once again when he can get his ass out of that hole the gods buried him in, that is. Anyways, the way I see it, mortal have two choices: work with the gods who like mortals because they are a bunch of horny bastards. No offense to you, Artemis, I would never bring into question your purity or virtue, or basically just wait until the demons decide to come and kill you for food or entertainment. I don't know about you, but I would rather enjoy it when I'm being fucked. Of course, if you're into that whole torture and abuse shit, then be my guest. Join the demons. Me, I'm with the gods. I rather enjoy the mission they gave me, have fun, get drunk, get laid, and spread the word of the gods' greatness. Well, I can see this isn't what you all were expecting when you called me. I got women to do, drinks to share, and quest for the gods to take. As he started toward the door, he turned away from the Sandaime and said, I won't join another village, but since I'm working for the gods and I haven't taken the real genin test, I'm not going to become a real ninja of Konoha either. If you want to learn about the gods, I'm going to build a library to the goddess of wisdom, Athena. You could bring things of knowledge or powerful artifacts to the library once it's built and pray for wisdom. She's a pretty nice goddess and is more willing to help mortals than other gods, usually because she knows that more death will come from the demons getting stronger allies. She would gladly tell you about other gods or goddess in order to gain more allies against the demons. Think about it. As he vanished, another elder asked, what should we do, Hiruzen? After Naruto had left Koharu. According to Hiruzen, I don't know. After leaving the council chambers, Naruto started down the street when Anko suddenly materialized in front of him, grabbed him, and vanished in a whirlpool of leaves. Naruto found himself back in Anko's apartment when they both showed up, and Anko exclaimed, hello sexy. Naruto replied, hello Anko, how do you like Aphrodite's gift? Anko replied, you still going on about that goddess shit? I don't know what genjutsu you placed on me to make me feel pleasure every time I said that name, but I like it. Naruto replied, you don't get it, do you Anko? Aphrodite is real and she told me to sleep with you for a reason. She wanted me to sleep with you and have you call her name so she could remove that cursed seal of Orochimaru so that you would be thankful to her and be willing to listen to her for the war that is coming. Anko said, what war? As her seductive expression gradually faded. Naruto stated, you'll find out soon Anko, but Aphrodite is a goddess and she is real Anko. She sent me to that bar to recruit you. That curse seal removal and the night of passion we had was all part of a bonus she was willing to give you. You haven't realized the full extent to what she's done for you yet. In response, Anko asked, and what might that be? Naruto stated, you're free Anko. You never could enjoy life because you were always looking over your shoulder, waiting for that bastard to come back and torture you or take away the happiness you had. But now he has no control over you. You don't have to go to bars and get quick one-night stands just to feel a few minutes of pleasure. You don't have to drink yourself to death every night in order to forget the loneliness. You have a chance to actually find someone who likes you for you. Not the snake bitch, but the real you Anko. You can settle down and have a family, and you can give up your quest for revenge. Then, with a blade at his throat, Naruto saw Anko standing above him, her eyes full of tears and rage, and he said, I can't. She felt a hand on her shoulder the next second, and a gentle female voice said, yes, you can, child. Anko's eyes widened as she slowly turned her head and saw a woman behind her wearing a white toga and glowing in a golden light. The woman said, I am the goddess Aphrodite. After standing atop the Hokage mountain for a few hours, Naruto remarked, I thought that you guys couldn't come here. Aphrodite stated, I'm not here, not really, that just you. The Cage Bun Shin is an interesting jutsu, and with your bracelets as a locator we can appear here in temporary bodies, at least until the people here believe in us enough for us to take physical form. If humans didn't have the fear of death, then Shinigami wouldn't have been able to appear as she did. Once the people here believe enough in the gods, we will be able to appear and truly show the people of this world the power of the gods. Says Naruto. And stop him. Your love and devotion to my daughter is commendable, Naruto, and I am thankful that you care so much about her and want to protect her, but like Anko, don't let revenge control you, Aphrodite said, placing her hand on Naruto's shoulder. Grinning, Naruto asked, how are the others? Aphrodite grinned and vanished in a cloud of smoke. Anko, meanwhile, was sweating profusely and panting heavily in her apartment. She thought, oh, Aphrodite, who knew a goddess could use her mouth and tongue to be so awe.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.